SkatCast presents the Just a Ride podcast, number 2, with Jeff Getchell, Shaiden, Hutchman, and myself, the script keeper. Let's do it.
It's just a ride. Whoa, oh, it's just a ride.
All right, welcome to Just a Ride podcast, number 2. I'm the script keeper.
I thought you were going to beatbox for a second.
I had to, as soon as we started talking, I was like, no, I need to cough and choke.
It's like when someone gets in the shower and then you realize you have to pee.
Yes. Dumb.
Someone get in the shower with you and then you realize you have to pee?
Well, then you just pee.
Yeah, then you just go for it.
Then you just have fun.
It all ends up the same place.
Hey, right.
2.7 fetishes, boys. 2.7 fetishes.
So welcome to the Just a Ride podcast. I'm the script keeper.
I
don't have a good nickname for you
nickname.
yet.
Yeah.
I'm Zach.
Weird. I'm Shaiden.
Jeff.
And it's the three of us again. And thank you for listening to the first episode. We don't know if you did or not because we were recording this before we put that one out. But
we're time
assuming,
travelers.
Yeah, we're assuming that a few of you did listen, and thanks for that. So this is the second episode. We got a whole bunch of stuff. We promised ghost stories last week, so we're going to tell some stories. Jeff has an interesting story about chitrons that he's going to, or more of an analogy, I'd say, that we're going to start with.
Yeah.
How do you spell chitrons?
Chitrons is Chitrens or INS.
Yeah, I saw it. Donald spelled it on the Facebook.
However Donald spells it is
That's
correct.
probably the correct.
Yeah, it's always the correct way. We're also going to talk about our hardest jobs that we've ever had. I'm sure we have some stories there. I haven't even thought about it. And then you have a funny suicide story, which suicide's hilarious. But we're going to talk about. It's not funny.
It's not funny. It's
actually
theory.
a question and a theory.
I was like, is it funny?
Yeah. I mean, there's already.
We were laughing when he was talking about it, which I already feel bad for.
We'll probably make it funny before we're done with it.
I hope
There's
so.
already real, things set in what I want to talk about, but I just want to hypothesize if it wasn't.
Yeah, I think this is the right audience to hypothesize things to. So it should be fine. And the last thing that we're going to talk about, instead of pop culture, we're going to talk about piss the bed dreams. I don't know why. Who knows?
I'm so excited for that.
Yeah, I feel like all of us. I want to know. I want to know if people have had that cartoon character in their life while they're sleeping, just being, hey, you peeing? Yeah. And then you wake up, you're like, motherfucking Fred Flintstone, son of a bitch. Anywho,
I do really feel. I believe in my heart, and I could be convinced otherwise, but I do believe in my heart that there are two types of people in the world. There are people that have had pee the bed dreams and people that lied about having.
Yeah, it's kind of like masturbation. Just like
Yes.
masturbation.
Yeah.
Masturbation, it's like once you turn like 20 or 25 or something like that, you're like, I jerk off all the time, and you're like fine with it. But in like high school and shit, you're like, I don't jerk off.
It's
What are you
almost like
talking
you
about?
have bragging rights if you're, at 25 and still at twice a day.
Right. But now I think when you get past maybe 30 or so, then you're like comfortable. I pissed the bed. I pissed the bed last year. What the fuck?
Well, and then
like
the
that.
masturbation, you're 30, you're married, everyone's going like, yeah, we get it, dude.
Yeah, you told him jerking off all the time. That's all you got. Or you're so tired of your dick, you don't even talk to it anymore. Right. Those two things can possibly happen.
I don't know if I've ever talked to my dick in the first place.
Hey, buddy, how you doing? I've been
You're right down there.
Sometimes he's all you got to talk to.
Yeah. Now it's just like that stranger conversation where you're like, it's been a long time, dick. How you doing? I don't know.
Are you the same person?
It's
still?
like, not really. I don't have the energy I used to. I'm really kind of sick of this shit.
So the whole point of the bed thing was I actually had I didn't piss the bed, but I almost did.
I think we're starting with piss the bed now. So let's
we
piss the
can
bed.
start with piss the bed.
Yes.
Let's go for it. All right, why not?
Let's
So
warm it up.
Yeah. So last night it was like a combination of your standard piss the bed dream, but then it was with a touch of Freddy Krueger because you're dreaming that you're dreaming that you're dreaming.
Oh God!
That you're
It's
dreaming.
Inception.
You cannot
Somebody
fucking wake up.
inceptioned you to pee your bed. Is that
Oh my God! It was insane. Yeah.
That sounds like a conspiracy.
And it's not
Take
really,
responsibility for yourself for pissing the bed.
but it's not. What was weird? It's not really about what the dream was about, except for I had to pee. So I, in the dream, go into the bathroom, but then I can't go. I'm like, well, I'm 51. That seems pretty fucking reasonable.
Did you have stage fright? Was it because Freddy Krueger was watching you and you couldn't?
I don't know. Freddy Krueger wasn't specifically in it.
Okay.
But then I realized that I was dreaming. So then somebody came and woke me up, thinking that was I. So then I was awake
Before you piss yourself.
before, and then
Nice.
it's like, okay, now I can feel like I'm getting ready to pee. Now that's good. I'm at a whole different bathroom, and then again, it's. Oh fuck! I'm dreaming.
I'm still dreaming.
And then, I went into one more dream, the same damn thing, and then woke up. And then I woke up, and the weird thing was like, I like, goddamn, was the bed wet? No. And then it was like, I don't even have to pee. That was the weirdest thing. And
What?
yeah.
So wait, the punchline is you didn't actually pee the bed?
The whole punchline is I didn't even have to when I woke up. It wasn't even a goddamn emergency. Now, and I know
That's
that
like
it's
an M. Night Shyamalan
Yeah.
pee the bed story. What a twist.
Yeah, but
And I didn't pee the bed.
So yeah, I didn't pee the bed. But the point is that generally when that happens, if you are lucky enough to wake up, that you've got to go so goddamn bad that you're flying through the house and usually you break
Right.
a toe, running
Right.
out the door, and fall down. And,
That is pretty
hit
funny.
your head on the cat and you get a concussion.
So your subconscious false alarmed your ass is what it happened.
Yeah, that's what was so astonishing to me. I'm like, I don't even have to pee.
It's an interesting version of a stress dream. That's wild.
Yeah.
So, oh fuck, I had a question related. Oh, so when you guys, if you have to pee really bad, but you're not dreaming about having to pee, but you have to pee really bad, do your dreams get like fucked up? Like, do they get super stressful and like really uncomfortable? Like, it's almost like your subconscious is like trying to fuck with you so hard that you get up to go pee.
Other than the physical feeling of having to pee really bad, I mean that becomes stressful in itself on a daily basis.
But then it manifests into something.
If you've really got to pee, like you're in stress, that's all you can think about. So essentially, yes, but that's the stress.
Yeah, it's so if I really have to pee when I'm sleeping, my mind like tortures me rather than being like, hey dumbass, you wake up and go
Right.
pee. Like, it's just like, I'm gonna give you the most horrifying, messed up, bad acid trip, nauseating dreams that I possibly can, in hopes that you'll take a hint and be like, I don't want to do this anymore. But my dumbass is like, I guess this is what we're dreaming of tonight, and I'll just lay there for hours like having really fucked up, awful, nauseating dreams.
When
and
I
then
could
I'll
just
wake up
get
and
up
I'll
and
be like,
piss.
ow, that's why. Damn
Yeah.
it. Like,
See, I learned from the story I'm going to tell that I've got to, if I feel like I have to piss even a little bit, it's like, I'm going to go piss. So here's my story. Here's my piss story. So as I said,
This is going to be a positive piss story.
well, this is going to be some. Well,
he is piss positive.
I am. Yeah.
Having
I-
piss
there-
authority,
the end,
he's piss positive.
spoiler alert: the end of this is me pissing the bed with my wife in
You
it.
should have went last with your story because we could have told our embarrassing pee stories.
Then you have
and then you
nothing,
drop it
yeah.
like, and moral of the story is you guys are losers. I've never peed
I'm
the
sure.
bed.
I mean, has it happened? Yes. Do I have a specific story about it? No. Do I know everyone else has done it? Fuck yeah.
Have you repressed it? Yes.
My story isn't really a great story. There's a South Park where it's about piss. I don't even remember. I've only watched it once because it triggered this event. But that's what I did before I went to bed. It was my wife and I had just been married. We've been married for maybe less than a year. So this was like a great test.
Oh, so you had someone in bed with you?
I had someone in bed with me. Amazing person.
I'm so excited.
I put it to the test.
He's over here clapping.
No,
like
so
a
I went to
seal.
bed watching a South Park about piss, and people that are South Park fans will probably know the episode, and I don't remember like exactly what the premise is. Okay, and so piss was on my mind, and I had not learned that you should go to the bathroom before you go to bed if you're me, and so yeah, I woke up hanging out, or I woke up in my dream hanging out with South Park, pissing everywhere, and there's that
Were you
feeling.
flat?
Was I? No, I was running around pissing everywhere. I was having a.
You didn't have to move sideways?
Yeah, you
I have a lot of.
dimensional.
I actually have a lot more piss stories now that I think about it. Not about just the bed, but
Anyway.
we'll just tell this story.
Pissing with Cartman.
So I was pissing with Butters. Butters was the character, and like I
You would
said,
be
Fred
the one to piss
Flintstone.
with. He wouldn't judge you.
No, and he also was the one that he like pulls his pants down
All the way.
in the urinal, and stands there and pisses in public. But no, and I woke up and my wife was in the bed with me, and I'm like terrified because I did not let. It was like one of those dreams where it's like, yeah, let's just piss. And I kind of pissed for a while. And I knew the feeling of like warm fucking pants. And it's like, that's terrifying. But we're hanging out with Cartman and shit. Yeah, I woke up. Hey, wife, I pissed the bed. Hey, brand new wife, how much do you love me? How much?
We're about to put our marriage to the
That was-
test.
I
That's
did.
right
Isn't that putting the marriage to the test?
I
And-
like a guy who's willing to draw a line in the sand and see what happens.
Well, here's the
Draw
thing
a line
about
of piss on the sheets.
here's the thing about Mrs. Script Keeper.
I'd have used a crayon maybe, but
I should have used a crayon, but it didn't. I don't think get to her side necessarily. But no, that's my wife. She's like, well, let's clean it up and go back to bed, and fucking. And it's like I hadn't pissed myself since I was 8,
What a
so it was just like, what the fuck? So I'm like, something wrong. I'm just embarrassed and ruined and stuff. And she's like, what?
as you should have been.
I was,
by the
yeah.
way.
But it's not like I could help it.
I'm kidding.
Butters told me to. Butters showed me the way, and I followed Butters in my little inception. And man, I don't know if you remember waking up in piss pants and a piss shirt in a piss bed. Have you ever? I mean, you pissed
Oh,
yourself.
dude, I was a bed wetter. We're going to get into the psychological shit, but I ended up being a bed wetter between about.
Did you start a
8
lot of fires,
and
too?
12.
How were you with animals?
Well, I killed that one frog. And,
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
It was-
we can get into that story sometime too.
Who felt sad?
I still feel extremely guilty about that. Yeah.
Right. Well, anywho. So
Yeah,
that's
that was a deciding moment that I knew, I wasn't a serial killer, and then I had my profession, and now it's questionable.
it is questionable again. Like, that's kind of a nurture thing. Like,
Yeah, like statistically,
policing might have nurtured you into not liking people as much. They certainly didn't like you over the course of your career as far as it's the public is concerned.
No.
But everybody that met you liked you, seemed. Minus the people that you were knocking their teeth out because they were fighting you back. I don't know what the
Anyway,
fuck.
back to piss story.
Well, I think the piss story's over. I think basically the summation of that story is that I have a really good wife. I'm very lucky to have the wife that I have.
I mean,
very
again,
forgiving.
2.7 fetishes, buddy. I mean, maybe you discovered one and you haven't followed up with this.
No, I haven't followed
intentionally?
up. I should get on this.
You might be missing something.
She didn't seem like she was super into it.
She might be missing.
She didn't.
She didn't seem super excited about
No,
that.
it was
I'm sure
less.
she's like, oh my god, I
She
just
wasn't
married a fucking
enthusiastic
7-year-old.
about.
What is
Yeah,
this? What is this
exactly.
2.7 fetishes thing? Is that like the
That's like a
average amount
legitimate
that
thing.
person
Yeah.
has?
So back, I went to this school that was about. It was called Sexual Deviance in the New Millennium.
Is
And-
it a school?
Yeah, it was a school that I went to. It was a week-long school that I went to, and really, what it was about. It was
That's the name of the
Dude, it was-
school?
That's what the class was called.
Okay, the class.
Yeah, no, yeah.
Like the building is like.
Fucktard.
Well,
Fucking asshole. You know what I'm talking about.
we're nitpicking words now.
It's like a whole school of sexual deviance.
Explain.
Where?
What was
Tell me
the-
where?
What was the
I
cafeteria like?
understand your literal perspective on that, but just fucking don't listen to what I say. Listen to what I mean.
Okay,
Goddamn.
I'll read between the lines. I guess.
Anyway, the whole point of the class, it started out as sexual deviance, and ultimately how sexual deviance generally, as far as serial killers go, and we kind of touched on this talking about porn last time, that ultimately that most serial killers, it started out as sexual deviance, which makes perfect fucking sense.
Right.
Anyway, within that, one of the stupid statistics I remember, I guess I'm like, thank God I'm not as fucked up as I thought I was. I'm a little above the average, but so the average person has
tripped the Richter scale just a little bit.
2.7 fetishes. I don't know what the 0.7 is like. Yeah, I guess that's a fuck. Yeah, I really want it, but I can live without it. I
You're like
guess. I don't really
into
know.
it,
Might
but
be the
not-
pissing thing.
It's like
Not
I like
committed.
yeah.
It might be the 0.7. You never
Right.
know.
Yeah,
I mean,
my peeing
she
it
didn't
felt like
leave
a
you.
full point.
she didn't leave you,
Right.
so that's good. She,
No, kinda-
she fucking made the bed for you.
Well, we had to get a new bed eventually, but yeah, she did. We flipped it, together.
Not the bed you guys were going to give me, was it?
No.
Okay.
We flipped
That'd be
it
rad.
as a team.
Hey, I peed here, came over there. We also had a dog that gave birth on this part of the bed, so I hope you.
That was like 6-7 years ago. So.
Yeah, this was before I moved to California. Is when this
Oh,
happened.
okay.
So this is. I mean, Monique and I have been together 14 years, and it was in that first year, and we've. I feel like it's strengthened our relationship. So my advice to you guys, if you're in a new marriage, piss the bed.
Yeah.
and
Well,
see
you
what
were,
happens.
and you were kind of a new dad at that point.
Yeah.
too.
I would take it one step further. Piss on her side of the bed or his
Yes,
side of the bed.
or on their pillow.
Yeah.
On her pillow. I gotta
Whoever,
say
whoever
that-
side of the bed is not your side,
yes.
take it there.
Fuck yeah.
Really?
I do have to add this. When I woke up terrified that I'd pissed myself with my new wife, who I knew was kick-ass, and she dealt with some other weird things and stuff, I was like, how do I blame the dog?
I see. And again, I would
I was
blame
like,
the
I
kids.
bet Molly, we had a dog, we had a German Shepherd named Molly, big dog. Could have pissed the bed like that. Oh, what did Molly do? I'm covered in piss and stuff, but I'm like, it went through my mind hardcore. It's like, I could blame the dog. How do I blame the dog?
But it's a lot. So you could have actually just grabbed Anthony.
Right,
And
thrown
put
him on the bed.
Put him into bed with you guys, and wake up like, oh my god,
Our child crawled in the
It'd
bed.
still
and
be
peed.
warm, so you'd be like, "Oh my God, what's he doing?" And then by then you lay him in it, so the front of him is wet.
Right.
So yeah,
I
you
should have thought
I
about
know
that.
him. He
I
would have
thought-
taken that bullet.
He would
for
have.
you.
He's
Yeah.
a sweet.
Yeah.
He's a good
Yeah.
kid.
He definitely would have.
He would have. Yeah.
So how old were the kids when they came into your life?
Antonio was 7 or 8, I think 7, and then Britt was 13 or so. So it was kind of weird for the jumping into the teenage, like maybe 12, 13.
So you had a teenager, but you had the one, which kind of leads into the whole kids act like they're on meth.
Right.
thing.
Let's get into that.
Oh my God. So
Let's talk about that.
so
my
in
kids,
my life right
kids
now,
didn't seem like they were like meth again, stepdad jumping into it. They were really cool to me.
Yeah.
But go ahead.
Yeah, I mean,
Let's
in
hear
my
this
life right
crazy
now,
shit.
I have children involved, and they're younger. They're 3 and 5, which I haven't been around a 3 and a 5-year-old in a long time.
Right.
I kind of forgot. And if I ever saw kids, it was at work. I'd go in and be the dial a dad or
Yeah, exactly.
whatever, and then leave so I could I didn't. But, I could be mean. I could be nice. Whatever. I got to walk away. So it's kids are so damn funny because I had to learn pretty quick. Oh, they're not adults. You can't talk to them like an adult. You got to talk to them like a child,
Right.
You know, to get the end. And you get negotiation is really big. Give them a voice and they can do it. But what I don't understand is the amount of energy that they have. I mean, I'm in pretty good shape, but it is hard to keep up. To keep up with a kid, and it just, you know, of course, my profession for many years, I'm like, what children remind me of is like literally trying to take care of somebody that is high on meth.
Right.
It is fucking insane. I mean, who gets up at 5 a.m, kind of rubbing their eyes, and they're like, you know, come say good morning, and then all of a sudden, total silence, like,
Exactly.
just absolute scream, and then
No.
I mean, the only people I've seen do that, people on meth do that.
Right.
And then they just go off on little tangents to nobody at the wall, crying and screaming. You can't understand what they're saying, again, like a meth head. And it just seems like it's like a hallucination. Or they'll be playing with a toy and for no reason at all stand up and just chuck it. I don't know why.
I believe they call that yeeting now.
They yeeted, yes.
That's what the youth refer to that.
Yeah,
as.
I've heard that term a few times.
Yep. And you can see that kind of yeetage downtown Spokane anytime you want.
Yeetage?
Yeetage.
Nice.
And yeah, it's like, I've dealt with that so much. It's like, I can deal with a 3 and 5-year-old acting like that easier than I can an adult, but the similarities are just awesome.
Listen here, you little crackhead. Stop it. Put your toy down. Stop beating your
Just
sister.
the constant movement and just the outbursts of, it can be laughter. It can be just crying for no reason. Like literally standing there.
Yeah.
What's wrong? There's nothing wrong. They don't know. It's just an emotion that hit them. So that brain, it's just what we are as humans is so crazy to me because that it's like, satisfy me right now. I don't really care.
Yeah.
This is what I want, and if someone else has it, I want that too. Whatever it is.
That's
And
interesting.
the
Like
worst.
observing kids is fascinating to me. I've never been driven to have any of my own thus far, but I do enjoy observing kids, especially kids when they're only interacting with kids. You know what I mean? Where there's no adult influence, because it's like that's a chief. One of the chief factors in my firm belief that people are not fundamentally good by default. Like,
come on.
And you and I agree on that.
Children are terrible.
I know me and Zach disagree on this.
Children are terrible.
But it's like you're taught to behave in a way that's not shitty. Like every child I've ever seen interacting with other children, getting into some kind of altercation, or the way, like, you know, that's that thing. I want that, and if you don't give it to me, I'm going to hit you, or I'm going to scratch you, or I'm going to scream and try to get somebody else to take it from you.
Right.
You know, it's just
that
like,
the manipulation,
kids
the ability
are
to manipulate it.
by default.
Yeah.
To have the ability to manipulate is just so naturally ingrained, and it's to get the things that you want, because yes, inherently I think we're extremely selfish and mean, you know. And
I think we're just subject to our baser instincts, you know. Like we come out mostly lizard brain, and then we cultivate into something, you know. So, but the lizard brain is arguably shitty.
Yeah, I think the survival instinct in people is pretty hard to get through. But little kids are terrible, and then they learn empathy, and
Most of them.
I mean, not all of them can, but a lot of them learn empathy, and they begin, like, there's a place where kids are really nice. There's a little, and you're kind of in it, actually. They're getting into it where they're still shitty. They're shittier than most adults.
Well,
but then when you get to a
teenagers,
teenagers, when you put in the hormones of stuff, they're the worst that they'll ever be, ever. Because now they are sophisticated liars, as sophisticated as they can be, and that really leads to like 10,000 other things where you're like, "Fuck, just do it." Oh God, you're getting Fs too. Fuck me, you know. As a parent, you're like, okay, but then you get better.
Basically,
like
they become what I was.
I don't think that
But-
counteracts.
but then you
my
get better
theory, though.
after.
I don't think that counteracts my theory, because the base operating system seems to be.
I wasn't trying to
seems to
counteract
be
it.
shitty.
I was trying to build upon it,
Anyway, the whole point of this was, it's awesome to watch little kids act like
meth heads,
and it's so and yeah, maybe that would freak other people out. For me, it's total entertainment. It
Right.
just makes me laugh all the time.
It's like, God damn.
And at
Skeet,
myself,
skeet,
and you
little
know
guy.
what? I get to learn stuff about myself
Right.
through the whole process, so it's pretty cool.
Heck yeah.
So.
Yeah.
I've learned a lot about myself too. In this conversation.
I learned.
You've learned you have 2.7 fetishes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And that your
I
friend
guess,
pissed the
dude.
bed on his wife, basically. But, you know, whatever.
That Monique has a
has a high threshold of forgiveness.
Has a high threshold of patience.
Yeah, patience is
It was
the thing.
awesome that you guys segued before my pee the bed story because I know I said I was going to tell it, but I'm like, I don't really want to talk
Oh, you
about
didn't tell it,
now.
did you?
No.
You actually. Oh, that's right. He tricked me. He's
I
like,
did.
we both said ours, and then yeah, that's right. You son of a bitch. All right.
I learned that about you guys.
Info at SkatCast.com. If you really want to hear Shaiden's piss the bed story next week, let us know. Although we won't know. Ah, damn it. There's no way for them to do that because we're ahead of once. Damn it. Because it's going to be 2 episodes before we get to that.
You should just
Send us anyway. And we'll do a special episode in the 4th one. All about Shaiden's pee
It'll
story.
be future Patreon content that I never want anyone to know about me.
Fair. But that's behind the paywall. And, you know.
So, but
Yeah,
not on
yeah, you're right.
not off topic. Off topic for today. But what we have started talking about. That's actually a fun conversation that we always have about if people are born
bad.
inherently bad or
let's talk about it.
We've debated that actually at length.
I think the science is the science. I think that
science
I love
is
that term. That's like my anti-term. I hate when people say the science, and yet I do things because I'm a hypocrite. But most of the time, when I look into the scientific data, they're talking about the more they've discovered about the brain, the more they find out that your base personality is genetic. So down to political, like, because politics is based on some sort of morality, not really that much anymore, but collectivism and individuality are very different things, and people have proclivities towards that just genetically, and you kind of see that in some of the data. So if your dad's a Republican and you can't believe that, you know, blah blah blah, it's like he might just have that ingrained in him in a little bit, not the Republican Party, but the ideas of smaller government, leave me alone, that kind of thing, which is embraced somewhat by the right, etc. And that's just genetic. But they think it's about 80% of a personality is genetic, and 20% is the nurture stuff. So, which is still our language, our religion, our fucking philosophies, and those kind of things. But your natural proclivity.
That's crazy. 80%.
80%. Well, when you think about.
No way.
Yeah,
I don't know if I don't have to look at that. That's
yeah.
crazy.
I'll show you some of the things
I
that
would love
found.
to see some of that. That blows my mind.
But it also, like, when we do all the research for, like, say, the Dipshit Files, or when I was doing Time Suck, you know, a lot of the things you want to do is make a good story. Like, how did this person get all fucked up? And then you look at it and you're like, oh, that's what most people go through. Or, you know, okay, he was abused, but I know 5 or 6 people that were hardcore abused and that would never hurt anything, you know. So it's not, nurture doesn't affect people. Maybe nurture affects certain people a certain way, but that's genetic anyway, right?
Well, haven't they also figured out that it's the amount of nurture between certain years are more productive than others?
Sure.
Between,
I didn't look into that, so I can't speak to that.
So
as
I
much.
mean, I would believe that more so than everything's just ingrained in you. Yes, I mean I'd say we're born with our personalities.
Exactly,
but we're
that's
not,
what I mean.
But we're not born with our morals. We have to learn we have to develop what our morals are.
We have it, but the thing about it, there's some debate on that too, because a lot of people will say, well, you can't, you know, yeah, I'm a dirty atheist, so they say, well, how can you have morality if you don't believe in God? And it's like, well, monkeys have morality. So there you go. That's my answer. Is
I
that
guess,
it's
but,
a
like, so
baseline.
I think that the thing that doesn't really account for is that morality. Because, like, okay, you could say, well, this person ended up being a very moral person, but they were raised in a very immoral environment by 2 very immoral people, or however many people raised them, you know. But you can learn morality and develop morality from immorality.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe
But can
in
you-
how people.
Because it's just like, ooh, I don't like the way that turned out, so I'm going to try to cultivate my surroundings
But your idea-
in the opposite direction.
The thing is a lot of people think about morality and they know what morality is, but to be moral is action. And so to have it go with your mind match what your actions match what you think about things is the big trick. And I think, you know, that's also genetic, where, yeah, I know the information is right, but I'm not going to do it, or it's too hard. You know, that's a genetic thing. Some people can flip like that when they hear a new idea. They're like, I will never go back to the way I was before today. And that's genetic, I think. I don't think that's something you can learn, where it's like, I'm a go-getter and I'm a self-starter. I don't think you just become a self-starter. I think you can work your way into doing it. You can set your alarms and stuff. But the instinct of you to just like, oh yeah, that's the fucking right thing to do. I'm going to do that now. I mean, that's convincing for most of us, myself included. It's like I have to convince my subconscious somehow. I got to figure out some like mental tricks to fucking figure out how to do that.
Inception.
Yeah, exactly. Where we go again, and then I piss myself, and my
So
wife
that
covers
really
it
all
up for
just
me.
supports that it's more learned than ingrained. I think.
Yeah, I'm kind of uncomfortable with that, and this isn't a scientific rebuttal by any means. It's just my personal feelings on it. But it's like anything that kind of borders on predestination, whatever.
You hated the midichlorians in Star Wars, didn't you?
I don't care for that. Yeah, I just don't care for it because I'm a big fan of like personal agency.
I know what the
and,
fuck you just said, Zach.
I know.
That one went right
That's
over,
that's
right
all right.
over Jeff's ball cap.
It's yeah. People like to be like the idea of Jedis, and then they ruined it with
No,
science.
well, not all people. Hashtag not all.
The people that like Star Wars were.
You can't hashtag and be anti-Star Wars. You have to pick.
I think that's true.
See, and I don't even know if you fucking got me on that one because I've never watched
See?
them.
That's why you
well,
have to
now I
pick.
watched number 1. That was enough.
Can't swim in these waters, dude. Get out.
Yeah.
So, I
Well,
think
that's
we're
what I'm
talking-
saying, though. You get what I'm saying with that. I don't really.
It's super uncomfortable to think that you have no
bugs me
agency.
'cause it's just like, okay, so I'm just this way because some soup of DNA decided. and I
But
didn't
you can
have a
also embrace
choice,
that,
you
though,
know?
too. Well, you didn't have a choice. That's the thing.
Yeah,
And that
that's
might
why
just be the reality.
I think that just bugs me.
Yeah.
But on the other-
Dude, every time Dan and I went back and forth like this on the Secret Suck, because he doesn't. He also fights that too. And I'm not like I want it to be that way. This isn't like
I don't like
Zach
it 'cause
thinks
it kinda-
that you're
it's
just
like-
stuck the way you are. It's like, no, I just want to know what true
I
is.
think I really don't like it because it's antithetical to personal responsibility in my mind.
But it's not,
It's like
though.
if it's 80% you didn't have a choice, then
I was
can
just
I really
born
blame
this
you
way.
for
Well, how many
behaving
times is that
way,
a defense?
Right,
For
well,
behavior.
I guess that's where the 20%
for-
comes in.
for
Exactly.
Exterior behaviors.
But the 20% is huge. That's the thing. It goes to show you just how big genetics is, because like the reason that we interpret the world that we do is through a lot of our philosophy, but the reason that we step into that philosophy and that we embrace it is because of our natural proclivities to be like, yeah, I don't really want the collective greater good to run my life, because I think that people will just be destroyed, like all throughout history. They'll just fuck individuals. So I guess I lean more towards, I think the best way to organize society and cooperate is let individuals be individuals. And that's my nature. Like, no matter what, I've read the Communist Manifesto 3 times. I've read as much of Das Kapital from Karl Marx as I can. I've read so many treatises on socialism and communism and collectivism, and fascism, which is a kind of collectivism. All of these things, and no matter what, they have some great arguments. They really do. There's some great arguments in there. I can't get with it because my nature is, I think that's bad for me. I think that's bad for my neighbor.
Yeah.
I think that's going to make it so we don't cooperate as well. And there's almost no way for me to see how it could work.
But your
that's-
nature has been developed by everything that you've experienced within your life.
For sure.
It's not that you didn't think that, prior to being...
There's
that wasn't necessarily ingrained in you before you were born, which is what I think you're trying to say that it mostly
what-
is.
what-
Maybe Zach
well-
hated communism for sure.
I woke up just being like, fuck them commies. Fuck Mao Zedong.
Well, I think like
Stalin.
what started was, Shaiden and I both believe, you have to teach a child that
Empathy.
they
is
know
taught,
that they
yeah.
can't, they automatically steal a cookie. You have to teach them that it's wrong. I
Right.
mean, most of the laws within our society, the criminal laws, murder, obviously, that's we all know that's a bad thing, right? But some
Right.
people kill, but it is an instinct of ours, assaulting, breaking shit when we're mad, I mean, these are all crimes that occur. I mean, even the bad ones, the arsons, the rapes and shit. I think that as the animals that we are, those behaviors are actually instinctual. And then throughout growth and in society, there's rules and regulations to keep you from being what you naturally would be, and you learn how to not be that. It doesn't mean that those instincts necessarily disappear, but you can definitely curb them with
I
education.
started this by saying that monkeys have morality, and then Shaiden got pissed. And then but let me throw it this way. Like, that's the thing, though.
I wasn't trying to butter your toast, dude.
I'm just like, but no, like, fundamental morality is an understanding. This is how I survive. It's all about our personal individual survival. That's really what it is. That's what morality is. We know not to, like the 10 Commandments. People give if we didn't have the 10 Commandments in the Bible, people would have never fucking figured out life. We got to stick by that. And it's like, well, the people that came up with that, or that God gave to them, were running around the desert for 40 years. not killing each other, not lying about each other in court, not taking each other's wives and stealing each other's oxen and shit,
maybe.
Before, no, they wouldn't have survived if they were interested in killing each other randomly and lying in court. There was some. There's always going to be sociopaths that don't play by the same rules. That's genetic. It's just the way it is.
In the desert, no one can hear them when you kill them. So it's how you solve that problem.
Well, so we don't know how many actually died, but they did a head count, and it seemed like it was pretty good. But what happens is...
no witnesses, a crime didn't occur, so...
what I think... I don't know if this is true or not, but I think a lot of, laws are just government rules. The rules are things that we know instinctually as people to survive. Monkeys don't have laws. Monkeys don't have government. They have maybe...
monkeys kill each other.
Right,
but monkeys have consequences.
They do. That's the thing. We all have consequences, but they naturally have an idea if I work together, if we work together and not hurt each other, we will survive longer. And that is what we're doing as people. And so we're embracing all of these weird things that are coming as communism, capitalism, all these different things, knowing that we need to collectively survive. We need to cooperate to survive.
And I guess maybe
that's morality. And the morality is that I don't want to kill you, because that makes it so I'm uncomfortable, and then I can't survive as well. I'm going to go to jail. I'm going to do this. The herd will not let me survive as well if I hurt you, so I won't hurt you. And a lot of people don't want to hurt each other because they make a relationship. I'd never want to hurt you because I like you. And so the morality kind of goes from there. But
what
it's
about,
very much
what
instinctual.
about when your whole group decides that it's okay to hurt a whole other group?
That's spooky.
And you still feel like there's some people will feel okay because of that, because they're like, well, I had permission, but there's still people that feel like not okay. And in that sense, it's not necessarily directly tied to survival, because your tribe, you're good there.
I think it is tied to survival, because I'm not saying that we're perfect morality. The morality might very be we're instinctively, biologically, almost all of us tribal as fuck. So when the tribe is doing something, it goes against your survival to not do what most of the time, to not do what
your tribe is doing.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
So if they're going to war and they justify it,
but that's what I'm saying. If you feel, because morality is a part of morality has to be the way that it sits with you, right? That's that's the whole premise of it.
Hence why there's
that's
differences
the
in
subject
society.
of morality.
And you go along with it for the sake of survival, but it sits with you not well. Is that necessarily a product of... is the morality side of that, the part that's inside of you that doesn't sit well with it, is that tied directly to survival or not?
Yeah. Well, I think the feeling that you have is your biology going, that's wrong compared to everything that I know and what I feel. But my tribalism outweighs the morality, because my morality is to my tribe, my loyalty
my
to the
survival,
tribe. And survival. So they'll turn on me if I don't.
I mean, I understand that. What I'm talking about is our animalistic.
And I'm not the guy to answer these questions, really. I mean,
I'm just saying that. I mean, I believe we have evolved as humans to what we are now from, who the fucking troglodytes, I
Jesus,
guess. Yeah, whatever. Or Jesus. It's a coin flip. Really.
Aliens, something.
But
it's just a quite
anyway, but we've gone from more of an animal to
Sorry.
more, to sentient, obviously. So obviously we're developing ways to try to curb our animalistic behaviors that still exist in us today and will for millions of years. And I think that even though we have the knowledge of all these things of what we're supposed to do, all of us still do shit wrong intentionally.
Biology. It's when they say it's our nature to do these things,
and generally it's when
the
we
nurture's
think
trying
we
to
can
get us to stop.
Generally it's when we think we can get away with it. That's why I say, the whole, $1 million in a suitcase, you're going to be really hard pressed to find somebody to not take that, even though we have deemed that in society as wrong.
If I found $1 billion suitcase, they would be getting.
You're going to get whacked.
They'd be getting 900 some odd million back.
Yeah. You're totally going to get whacked for having that. But,
sure,
but that's not the point. Live it up till you do. I mean, you're going to die someday anyway. I mean, it's not a matter of if we're going to die. It's a matter of what stories they tell about you. So
I'd want to know a lot more about the $1 billion.
That'd be a really cool story, by the way.
Whose $1 billion? Yeah, it would be.
Yeah.
Whose $1 billion is it? What were they going to do with it? I think I could come up with a good plan for why I should keep $100 million of it or so.
Yeah, I think I would probably do nothing with it for a good while. I would just sit on it for quite some time, and see if just see if anything turned up. Put it somewhere that
somebody's going to miss $1 billion.
That's what I mean, though. That's what I'm like. So I'm going to see if I'm part of that.
You'd probably look that shit up, I guess.
Because if I'm not part of that equation, if they don't come looking specifically for me, then they must not know or suspect that I would have it, so I'll just lay low for
And-
a year or 5, you know.
Right.
And,
By the
and
way,
just
my
live my
scenario
normal
was-
life, and then I'll start creatively dispersing it little bits at a time in many directions
So you're
until
saying-
I'm set up.
$1 million doesn't buy you your morality, but $1 billion does, is basically what you just said. Because I was talking about $1 million in a suitcase. My point is, I think that even the honest of all honest, if they 100% knew they could get away with it to benefit their life, they would take it.
In that situation, yeah. I think
Which
most people would.
in the concept of what we're talking about, that is considered bad within our society. That is a law that is broken, because we know as human beings, whether there's a law or not, we're not supposed to fucking take shit that's not ours.
Right. But, finders keepers and finders fees and whatnot. So
Again, so a justification with immorality.
no, I think that's just logistics. It's like,
That very
I found it, bro.
That very few
Here's your shit.
people share, or that very few people don't share. That's my whole point.
No, I get it. Well, I think people are, if you can better your life, people will try and better their life. I mean, and money is the thing that does that. So
Or taking advantage of people.
It's
There's
an
that.
interesting.
there's that too, but that's a bridge too far. Just finding a briefcase and going, oh fuck, this is cool. Compared to, I need to punch this guy to get that briefcase.
Well,
It's a
I
whole
would,
other
I would
thing.
just make
Or I need to
a
trick him.
point that, again, a lot of that exists too, and
Sure.
probably
Okay.
probably less of amount of people are going to go to that measure if they're generally good people.
Right.
But
Or
there's a lot of middle of the road people that are like, well, I can justify it for this because I'm fucking hungry. So no,
I think a lot of people's morality hinges on how comfortable they are, for sure. You were going to say something now.
Sorry.
But I might have cut you off to
No,
where I forgot what it
I
was.
I was about to go off on a bit of a tangent, so I'm glad you didn't let me interrupt you. But it's just interesting for me to think about the 80%, 20% thing that you were talking about, because it's so framing it that way in my mind. If it's 80%, you're designed that way genetically, and 20% is the intellectual side of you that is nurture, I guess, but that's what kind of develops your intellectual capability to interact with your own survival instincts,
Right.
in my mind. So it's interesting to frame it that way, because it almost seems like more credit should be due by you overriding, like choosing to override your genetic.
Oh, absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? Like it's if you can take that 20% and use it to temper the other
Yes.
80% that you
Well,
started with, it's more impressive at
Absolutely.
that point. You know?
Like, look at the body, for example. Like, if you just have naturally a proclivity to have diabetes or heart disease in your family, that's genetic. But if you choose not to eat the things and live the lifestyle that makes that a chance, like make that flip on to where then now you got cancer, that's great. That's overcoming genetics in a way.
So I
But
guess
then
to
it's
be
your
fair-
genetics of your mind to be like, well, I'm not going to do that because I'm
Yeah.
risking that. So it's
So I guess to be fair, then what I'm really putting forth at the beginning of all this is just considering that 20%. People are mostly shitty.
okay.
Like
okay.
whether or not we're designed fundamentally shitty, perhaps some debate. But
Well, and the other portion of that too is a generally shitty person doesn't mean they're always shitty either. I mean,
Right.
there hashtag not all again, and I don't know that Star Wars thing you were talking about. God damn it! But even shitty people can do good things.
Oh, absolutely. Your actions
just as
are
much
what-
as any good person, if in the right circumstances, can do something shitty. So I think the shitty outweighs the good. That's what I'm saying.
Okay. I don't. I think that people are generally overwhelmingly good, is what I think. And I think it's obvious in all the people that I've met.
But
minus
I
a
know
few.
your dead mom. She was really sweet, and I know
I'm a musician. I've met thousands of people. I've not met a lot of shitty people in my life. Like, I know a lot. I've been a businessman too, so I've met some real fucking shitty people. But they're few and far between. Actual, like, people that are actively working to fuck you over, that are your enemy, that you're not aware of or whatever. Very few people in my life have I ever met that are like that. And as a musician, there's a lot of competition between people. And I'd like to say, I think a lot of musicians, there's a lot of drug use and a lot of weird shit. There are a lot of shitty, narcissistic fucks in music, but overwhelmingly, it's mainly not.
And I guess I understand. I mean, because of my career path, that's all I dealt with was. Even if I was dealing with a good person, they had an involvement with a shitty person.
Yeah.
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 In general, and
they were
most of the
lying
time, and,
to you the
well,
whole
not most of the
time,
time. A lot of time, it doesn't matter who I was dealing with. Both parties were shitty. You're like,
Well,
oh,
it's not absolute either. It's not like, I mean, somebody could be shitty for a good portion of their life and then not be shitty at another point, you know. So like, I didn't mean by saying that people are just fundamentally shitty. I didn't mean that like the vast majority of everybody.
Clear up what you mean then, because that's what I think.
No, because I'm saying we start out that way, and we
you can learn to not be or not.
Oh, we're huge cunts, yeah.
And I think a lot of people, perhaps the overwhelming majority, learn well enough to at least come out of the wash with like, yeah, I'm a good person. But I don't think that you start that way.
No, I agree with you 100%.
Yeah. And I think that's what I'm saying.
I think the biology of a child is, I mean, you're a little scientist. That's what you are. We're a scientist until we're taught not to be. And because you're like, what does this taste like?
like Dr. Jekyll kind of scientist?
Yeah. Well, and also playing doctor and stuff like that. Those kind of things. But
I did that young.
Did you? Me too.
Yeah.
I think that was the point, though.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Although it's more fun to play
that was
doctor when you get
definitely
older.
naturally ingrained in me was the,
Sexual.
the sexual desire for girls and women and wanting to
Look at it like this.
to learn.
Yeah.
Like you
And
can
having knowledge of shit that I shouldn't have knowledge and not really. Of course, I'm sure I blocked it out to some psychiatrist, but it was just seems to be naturally ingrained.
Yeah. Well, how about this? Nurture. Is all the information in the world. It's all of our concepts. It's all the math and stuff.
Are you nurturing me right now?
I'm nurturing you right now. But your IQ is your IQ. Like,
Stop going for his chest. He didn't say nursing. Nurture.
I got
Nurture.
my breasts have shrunk over.
I didn't bring any water. I'm thirsty. I'm sorry.
But I got some meat for you.
opportunity.
But like IQ, IQ is something that a lot of people, I think, wish that they could get a higher IQ by working hard, studying, those kind of things. And I mean that leads to nurture. It's like you can study your ass off, but you will never have. It will never increase your IQ. You will only hit the maximum amount that you're capable of. The only way
I'm too dumb to even dispute what you just said. 'Cause maybe,
you're not.
I guess.
But
right.
look at it like this. The only thing, according to science, and you guys can prove me wrong here if you'd like, the only thing you can really do in your life to increase your IQ to its maximum is eat healthy, be healthy, do those kind of things. Have healthy cells so your brains have healthy brain cells. The only thing a parent can do is, according to the science, and I'm not shaming anybody that doesn't want to do this or can't do this.
You said it again.
It's the science. According to the
only science.
according to mainly
exists.
but also science. Breastfeeding is the thing that can increase your IQ as a child. That's the only thing that another person can do.
My IQ a minute ago.
So
that's a nursing.
So what you need to do is you need to
sister.
find a lactating female that likes you and ask her very nicely if you can participate in that. No,
And
But
actually, send her to my sister.
So,
But my point
as a
is,
point of curiosity, have they ever studied if that, like, can you, like, belatedly, like, is it only during development, or can you just, like, because
I challenged you to take on that study. Double blind. And I'll
I'm not sure I'm the one to approach the drinking breast milk as an adult study.
I think
when
we
they
should-
say double blind, that's
think
you're
that-
supposed to be blindfolded, not them.
You're both supposed to be blindfolded. I think is what
Like
that.
I'm being painted into a weird corner of breast milk.
And I
here,
feel
I'm
like
not-
you could get some people to help peer review that and falsify that. I think
We're
it'd be
talking
great.
about boobs, and then I say
I'm
something,
not-
then bring them to my sister. So I must clarify. My sister was a lactation specialist for years. So
Right,
she
they don't
was-
know that. They just thought you were
we used
real
to
gross.
We used to call her the nipple Nazi. She
I didn't know that
really
either.
like
I was
very
actually
much.
kind of puzzled by that comment.
Yeah, so I wanted to clarify
It's like,
that.
is your
I just
sister-
throw on my
is your sister
one of my,
pregnant
and
or
I got 9
something?
sisters. I got 9 women that could be really pissed off at me if they listen to this and like, what about me?
What,
Anyway,
I think we
about-
should edit out him explaining this and leave that comment just hilarious.
That should be the whole episode.
So
Just on
awesome. Actually, I'll talk to some sisters I haven't talked to in years just so they can yell at me. It'd be fantastic.
All right. Well, we didn't plan on talking about nature and nurture. I would say you're both wrong,
It was
and I'm correct.
Yeah.
And
Of
so
course you would say that.
we'll
I'd
move
say
on.
you're a cunt and we're awesome.
All right.
Have more friends.
Info at SkatCast.com. We'll figure this out. But let's talk about our hardest jobs that we've ever had. That was something that we were tickled by last week, but I haven't thought about it since. I'm not
Have
sure.
you figured yours out yet?
Not really. So you go first.
Oh, me first?
Or
All right.
you first. Either of you can go first.
Go ahead.
Yeah, my worst job was working at a lumber mill up in Canada. And it wasn't necessarily, because I've known a lot of people since then. It gave me a really poor outlook on lumber mills in general. Like, I was just like, they're all like, anybody who does this is insane. They're out of their mind because it's the worst hell, you know. But I've talked to people since as an adult that had a great experience working in lumber mills. Mine was just especially shitty.
Why?
Because it was so I grew up in a very, very small town in British Columbia, and it was just outside of that town. So it was like the hick.
Fill in maple syrup joke here.
The hick cedar mill, where it was like nobody really gave too much of a shit about safety regulations or giving you proper gear or having good like accommodations for you.
Actually, they did.
Like,
it was just him.
It was just me. They really didn't like me.
Right. They're like, well, let him die.
To be fair, and I understand. I don't blame them now in retrospect. No, it was just like I would go. They start you on the green chain, which is just pulling the big, heavy, wet, long pieces of rough cut timber off of a big, long belt and stacking it in piles. But they have to be the right piles, and you got to do it fast. Otherwise, it gets backed up, and people scream at you. You know, and it's all your fault. So,
and you were emo then, yes? So that was extra hard for getting
I'm
screamed
still
at.
emo. I don't think I ever stopped.
I was going to say, I'm like, I don't know about
that
past
way a little
sense.
bit, I guess. But
You don't have the
I'm never going to outgrow
black hair.
it.
And
I don't think
eyeball
emo
cover.
ever goes away.
I had eyeliner on literally last night.
Yeah, same.
Hey, you know what? I can't talk shit about the eyeliner. I was an 80s butt rocker.
There you go.
I wore fucking
It
leopard
makes the
spandex
eyes
and-
pop, whether you're male or female. It's fucking
Hey,
great.
you know what? I'm
I'm a big fan.
Just like
Like
anybody
eyeliner,
else.
I'm about it.
I did shit to
too.
get laid, you know.
Oh, yeah. You got to do what you got to do.
I learned you had to look like a chick to get laid,
No.
even back then.
Yeah.
You might be onto something. Actually.
I never felt like I had to do-
I tried to dispute that just off the cuff, and I was like, no, I can't think of a single.
I will say in the 90s, the grunge era, it was a little different for
Yeah.
me. It was just,
Yeah, you had to look like you got out of a goddamn garbage can.
I had to look like I lived in Washington State, and I could do that. Because, you know,
I think
my
it really
dad
just
had all
comes
that
down to
shit.
you have to look like you took time to give a shit about your appearance. I think that's really what
Anyway,
it
we
is.
fucked
You
up.
don't look like you did. Yeah. And like, I don't care.
I totally fucked up your story. Anyway, you hated the lumber job, pulling green.
Yeah, so they started on the green chain, and I developed this. So I learned this because of this injury, but there's a tendon in your forearm that comes from the outside of your elbow and runs across your whatever the forearm bone is. I'm showing my
the
low
thumb
IQ
one.
right now.
The dictationist. I don't know what it is.
Anyway, so it crosses over right just about 4 fingers width above your wrist, and it hooks into your thumb, and that's the tendon that lets you do thumbs up, thumbs down.
Right.
So
Kind of an important one.
because of the repetitive action of the way that I had to stack and sticker these piles of wood, I wore through the sheathing around that tendon that keeps it like from grinding against the bone, and so my tendon was literally just like creaking against the bone with nothing between it. So it was causing me really weird nerve pain, and I had about a swollen ping pong ball in that spot on my arm. And I'm so as a guitar player and a video gamer and a masturbator, everything happens with my hands.
I need
Priorities.
this thumb.
Yeah.
This
So
is what makes me a fucking human. It's
So
a thumb.
in my mind, I'm like, this is the worst thing that could ever happen to me. Something's wrong. I have to fix it, So I go walk my ass to the foreman, and I'm like, look at this. Like, can I please have like a couple weeks off or something, or work in a different position, like just to fix this, And he looked at it and he went, "No, it happens to a lot of people. Buy a wrist brace, get back to work." I was like,
what the fuck? I play
how
guitar.
dare you?
That's my picking hand,
In
bro.
his defense, I did buy a wrist brace, and it went away after a couple weeks of me freaking out. But it really, really sucked. And so I was like, okay, that's how this job's going to be. Fast forward about a month, there's a big industrial wood chipper. It's like 2 stories tall, and that's where all
And
the
you
waste
died.
wood goes. And I died.
Fuck.
And I'm not actually here.
You fell into it and
I
died.
actually literally died. So all these waste conveyors from different parts of the mill go, and they end up in this chipper, right? And there was a main conveyor belt that a lot of the belts dump into, and it got clogged up one day. And I happened to be the closest person to the foreman when it got clogged up, and he looks at me and he goes, "Run up in there and clear that out." And I was like, okay, let me go put my lock on the power switch, because we all had padlocks we carry for that kind of stuff. Like, nobody can turn this on until I'm done doing what I'm doing for safety.
Yeah.
He goes, "No, it's all the way upstairs. We need to get back to work. I'll make sure nobody turns it on." And I'm like, "You're downstairs, and so am I. How are you going to do that?" And he's like, "I don't want you arguing with me. We need to get back to work. Just climb up in there." And I was like, with all due respect, you can go fuck yourself. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not crawling into the belt that leads into a 2-story wood chipper without making sure nobody can turn it on first.
Oh, just because you're lazy, you fuck.
Yeah. So like, you can send some other dipshit up in there, or you can fire me right now. I'm not going. You know.
What'd he do?
He sent another guy up in there. So the
Nice.
kid's like, "I'll go." I was like,
Thank
"More
crap.
power to you."
And you're like, I'm gonna turn the thing on.
Yeah, it's clear.
And that's how that guy died. And so that's why Shaiden's kind of a manslaughter guy.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Yeah, because I'm fundamentally shitty. I started out this way. It's genetics. It's not my fault.
He's trying though. He's trying real hard to get
I'm
better.
working on it.
So you're a police officer, sir. We're a police officer. Was
Yeah.
that your worst job ever?
No.
I didn't think
Are you
so.
kidding me?
I
That was
know.
entertaining
That
as
was
hell.
a great job. I know.
So go to work to not feel as bad about my own life. Worked out pretty good. No, my worst job, I was 16. So, I mean, I used to sell acid when I was a kid. So I got a job from one of my clients, which, probably should have told me it was going to be a shitty job.
Right.
But I ended up being a short order cook for this mom and pop restaurant in, I think it's Beaverton, Oregon. I don't even remember the name of the place. But at the time, I had the eyeliner and the long hair still at 16, and so I had to put my hair up in a ponytail, and that pissed me off. And it was so goddamn hot in there. I didn't know how to cook was one of the biggest problems. And a lot of people like to come to that place, and I would just fuck up orders. I would give them
my
the wrong
God.
shit, and then they'd send it back, and it just
Tastes terrible.
It was fucking awful. Well, the only good part about it was they had wine.
Also, people didn't notice after 10 o'clock.
So I started drinking
Oh.
when I got to work. So now I'm a shitty short order cook
Who's drunk.
who's fucking up everybody's shit and drunk and fucking it up again. But these people, I didn't have the job very fucking long, but they didn't fire me. And even about the wine, after about 3 weeks, they finally figured it out. And I went to grab a bottle of wine. There's this big black ink mark on where it's at.
You're like, that's about me.
They had
That's
it marked.
fine.
I'm like, oh, fuck. But you know what? They didn't say shit.
Nice.
Because obviously, I mean, their other option was the guy that I sold acid to, who was generally on acid at work, who probably did a better job than me on acid than I could as a 16-year-old fucking
I've never
retard.
eaten anything that you've cooked. I don't
I
think.
have.
I'm actually a pretty good
Have I?
cook now. I mean, I make shit up all the time.
Yeah.
Nice.
It was all right. We mostly cooked on the barbecue when I lived with
Well,
you.
yeah. I mean, is that really cooking? I mean, it's what dudes do.
It is
for the most
cooking.
part.
Dude, people cooked over open fire before we had stoves.
It's preferred cooking,
I would
for
say
sure.
it's more cooking.
Yeah, but yeah, I can be pretty creative with some shit now.
I'm gonna say this. My wife barbecues. She's the barbecuer of our house.
Yeah, but she is the man of the house. I agree.
Okay.
Shots fired.
I'll take that. All right.
Well, the thing, I know your wife.
I can beat her arm
she's-
wrestling. That's all I can do.
You can.
The
And
rest of
maybe
the stuff she can do.
leg wrestling is
She
probably
also
good, too.
knows more about cars by a lot. She knows more about cars than both of you guys too.
Oh, absolutely.
Just
And you
saying.
know what? I applaud her for it. That's great. I don't applaud her because she's a woman. I applaud her because she's a human
She's
being.
a
She
great
knows
human.
more shit than I do.
Yeah, yeah.
And you know what? If that's a resource for me, that's fantastic.
Whatever. You were just saying you're not a man unless you barbecue, and I just wanted to let you know I'm not a man.
No, I was saying I know your wife, and absolutely, she's the man of the house. Good. That's good.
Fair enough. She's certainly the only adult in the house. That's
Well,
damn
that's
sure.
really what I mean.
I know.
She is the adult. Yeah,
I'm
she
the
married
dumb.
a guy that pisses the bed and
Right.
talks to himself in
Oh,
funny
am I going to be
voices.
the piss the bed guy forever? Damn it, I am. You pissed the bed too. Shaiden and I are piss the bed guys.
know.
You don't know.
And you did too.
I
You
did.
don't know.
I pissed the
haven't
bed.
copped
I
to it.
absolutely did. I just didn't tell. I mean, I didn't have much to tell about that story. But if you want to go to piss in the bed, I do remember one time getting out of the bathroom, and making the wrong turn, and I actually put my foot on the garbage can to lift the lid and pissed in there,
Yeesh.
and don't remember.
That's just responsible.
Yeah,
of
that's
you,
not so bad.
honestly.
Oh, I got a
Given
lot of
the
trouble for that too. Yeah,
circumstance.
So bad.
yeah, I know. I mean, it's like,
I
goddamn.
think of a lot of worse places you could have
Yeah, you probably
pissed
should be
while
proud of it.
Since
sleepwalking.
we're talking about pissing, sleepwalking. Like I had a lot of issues with piss as a kid for some reason. I just thought it was neat. Like I remember
Now you're
one time.
definitely going to be the piss guy.
I'm gonna be the piss guy. I don't give a fuck.
While you're ahead.
I'm already the shit guy with SkatCast. For fuck's sake, I might as well get 1 and 2 down. But no, check it out. When I was a little kid, we had collies before my parents started raising labs, and this dog taught me how to walk like way early. Like I would just hold on to it, so it was like my friend. I don't know why. I just peed on it one day, and
Like on purpose?
on purpose,
Like willfully?
Like it was laying on the ground, and I full.
That's like
I was
psychological
like,
abuse. How dare you?
I was like 2. I was like 2, 3. I remember it though.
See, you were born shitty.
I was. I know that. I agree with you. We're all born shit. Empathy must be taught. I agree. But no, I pissed on this dog, and I remember my dad coming in there and being like, I don't.
Was it in the house? In the house?
In the house.
even?
Oh yeah. It was
Oh,
in
you're
the house.
awesome.
No, it was. I was supposed to be in bed. I was supposed to be in bed.
I was impressed.
I was supposed to be in bed. The dog was laying like in front of the door, and I just got up and peed on the dog, and the dog just nonchalant, just looked at me, was like, okay, and got up, walked out where my parents were watching TV, laid down, and I hear my dad like, what the fuck? And I got the weirdest look from my dad, and I swear to God, after that, it was like, we weren't really tight after that. He's like, I don't know about this kid. Pissing on a dog, that's not normal
No
shit.
son of mine.
Yeah. But then a couple years later, we moved to Spokane, and my parents started a business. And they, I'm
Pissing
really
on dogs?
What's that?
There was like a pissing on dogs business?
It was called Thunder Mountain Dog Supply. Yeah. But there was some pissing on dogs there. But they started off a little 900 square foot building that grew to multiple things. They did really well. But in this 900 square foot building, I'm like 5 years old. And I don't know why. Again, it's like the wiener. You're just like, this is great. I'm just going to push this here. I peed everywhere in the bathroom except for the toilet, in the business bathroom. And
were you doing your alphabet or what?
no, I was just like, I bet I can pee on the wall. I don't even know. But I remember my mom giving me the same look that my dad did, where it's like, there's no reason for this. There's no, you can't explain this. This is, you're a psycho. What's wrong with you? And I'm
I can't
like,
even make an excuse for you.
But that's exactly what I'm going back to. It's like you were on meth. They
right,
do shit
exactly.
like that.
I am agreeing with that as fully. I was on
Absolutely.
meth. That's why I did that. It's 'cause I was on,
on
my brain thought it was on meth.
The amount of disbelief of somebody watching is like, there's no logical answer for that at all.
No. But my meth was like Voltron and that kind of shit. It was cartoons.
I mean, kids though, like peeing is an interesting, especially. I think, I don't know. I can only speak to my own experience, but I feel like it's more. Guys are more prone as kids to just pee in random places because like we have the hose attachment.
Right.
Like you can just go. We're set to travel. You
Yes.
know what I'm saying? So like I remember when I was a kid, I was too old to do this though. Like I knew I shouldn't, but I did it anyway because I was laying in bed. And it was like a Saturday. I don't know. I didn't have anywhere to be, and I didn't want to get out of bed. I didn't want to deal with anybody. My door was closed to my room. I was like, I'm just in bed. Nobody's bothering me. This is perfect. But I had to pee so bad, like it was hurting me. And I was like, I still just want to stay in bed. So my solution was to get out of bed and find a corner of my carpeted room. And I just kind of I like squatted down and like tried to shoot it into like the inconspicuous, like I'm just gonna pee here.
Was this a one-time thing, or did this start being a regular thing?
It was a one-time thing, yeah. Okay. Because I had this moment where I was like squatting down, just soaking the carpet in a clandestine manner. Where I kind of was like, I am a piece of shit. This is not a good thing.
What am I, in prison? I'm a chitrin.
I'm some kind of like, I can't live with myself now.
Well,
that's how I felt really bad.
So then I was guilt ridden. I had to figure out a way to try and clean it up covertly.
As you're causing like rot in the fucking foundation of the building. It's like, oh damn.
Whoever recarpeted that duplex years later was like, oh,
really? This better been a dog. It doesn't look like dog though.
Well, some kids, they respond to like stress and stuff, like also they start peeing in the closet or something. Or like me, when I was a kid, I was peeing in the bed. So I'm like, no, you're a fucked up kid. But I realize you're fucked up. Besides that.
Me specifically?
Yeah, it really had nothing to do with you peeing in the corner. But we all have established.
Thank you for
highlighting
that. You're not wrong, but fuck you also.
I mean, that's why we get along. We're all fucked up little poo boss.
Crazy.
Except for Zach, he's a P-Baw, not a P-Baw.
I'm a P-Baw. Am I? Yeah, I am the P-Baw now. Fucking great.
Ooh, that's not going away.
That's not.
Grand P-Baw.
I'm the Grand P-Baw. I don't want to do this podcast with you guys anymore. I'm done with, we're done. Just a ride. It was a fun ride. Lasted 2 episodes.
Ride's over.
Just a short ride.
Get the fuck off.
Do not go to SkatCast.com and look this up because there will be no more. So you told us your hardest job.
Yeah, it was just fucking, it was a terrible job. It was hotter than a cocksucker's knee pads. It was fun getting drunk for a while, but I mean, talk about the most unpleasable job, and I fucking hated it. And I was there like maybe 2 months, and I didn't get fired, but they weren't really fucking surprised when they handed me a check, and I said I'm not coming back.
Fair.
I think they were very pleased
because
they were nice people to not even call me on the drinking at 16 years old and just put a line on their wine bottle.
Right. At least that worked. Yeah. They're like, okay, fuck yes. We don't have to talk to him. He might kick our ass or something. I don't know.
Well, I was 155 pounds then. So.
Well, fair enough. But the look in your eye.
Like a chick, because I had eyeliner.
Right. You look pretty.
Spandex.
Because the 80s were an interesting time period. Yeah.
It boggles my mind that you were ever 155 pounds. I just picture you as a 200-pound infant. You've just been like muscular and broad ever since I've known you, so like picturing you as like a whipcord is, I'm like,
yeah, there was a time in my life I could
as an adult I've never been 155. Like my lowest weight I've been as an adult is like 175 pounds.
Well, you gotta remember, I grew up in the 80s in Portland, there was a lot of cocaine, man.
Oh,
You guys didn't
now
like
the
the
truth
cocaine.
comes out.
I did a ton of coke, meth, all the good shit.
All the
you
good shit.
Yeah, I mean, I just started that story with I was a drug dealer.
Yeah,
Right.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Well, meth is a good weight loss program if you do
Yeah,
it right.
I just didn't get caught and
Lose a lot of
told enough about it on the
tooth weight.
polygraph to get hired and not sound like I was a fucking liar.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, all you got to do is eat corn dogs and have your teeth fall out, and you start losing weight with meth. That's good.
Yeah, but you
I'm
know
not
what?
sure what I'm talking about.
I wondered
went
where
over
you were
here.
going with
Yeah, I'm
that.
like, I just started having my
It
own
did create a
conversation
wonderful
over
song.
here. That was just a fun little thought I had, and I'm like, I'll just pretend that I'm doing a podcast by myself since we're canceling
And
this
remember,
podcast.
Jeff and I have to deal with this all the time.
Hey, now.
Zach, what are you talking about?
Exactly.
I don't know.
I never do. When is it ever that I knew?
It was a different voice in my head. It came out for a second.
Pull the dick out. No, that's a different guy. I guess so. My hardest job was working for my parents because it was, but it was still like an easy job too.
The
It
dog
was
pimping
awesome.
or
What's that?
the dog pimping?
The dog pimping.
I thought you were going to say sovereign citizen.
Yeah, that's my favorite job. No, but because working for your parents, like a lot of people will say things like, unions did this. They made it so child labor laws don't. It's like you're right, unless your parents own a business, and then the child labor laws means 0% to any one of those parents.
They'll stop feeding you.
Dude, they will fucking. I ate dog. Okay, my parents. I'm gonna be the pea guy and the dog biscuit
Okay.
eating guy. My parents fed me dog biscuits to show their customers that dog biscuits were all natural and good for you.
Come here, Zach.
Just choking.
Here, eat it.
Seriously, dude. They had me. I was 5 years old. They had me under the
He just
counter.
comes out on a leash.
Fuck both of you. This podcast is over. No more podcast. No, but seriously though, they would.
Did they make you bark first? No. Did you have to beg for it?
No, but you should have
explains
seen
a
the
lot.
look
You have
on
to
some of the
shake.
customers' faces. They're like, no, he doesn't need to do that.
Yes, he does. Eat it.
She's like, oh, it won't be. He'll be fine.
It brings me joy.
What's funny is my mom's listening to the propaganda of the dog food industry, where they're like, we're using human grade foods and we're doing this and that. And then we go and
It's
visit.
not made for human digestive
Exactly,
systems.
dude. There was this beef jerky company. They made human beef jerky and they made beef jerky for dogs.
Yeah, why make two different types if they're the same?
Good question, Shaiden. You know what? I had their beef jerky that was for people. It tastes really good. The stuff that we sold to dogs that I ate on the daily from 5 to 7 years old, 5 to 6 years old. That's shit filled with sawdust. Fucking half of that shit's on the floor. It's like, dude.
Is this why the Adkin shakes? Is this really why? You're
Possibly.
like, this is safe. I know this is engineered
Yes,
for me.
Exactly. I'm like, I will not eat anything else. I'm getting so psycho. I'm going to be like, I can only eat a certain color of food. It can only be white food. I'm going to only have things that are white. White rice. I mean, I drink milk. I don't know. It's very dumb. I'm
That would
dumb.
be an interesting diet.
It would be.
You could
That
make
was the
money.
drink
You could
Nikola
make
Tesla
money
diet.
if you sell it well enough. You could make money.
But what's that?
Could drink the head off of a beer if it was still white. Right?
Yeah, but then I have to be done.
Yeah.
But so I'm just hoping for head
Yeah.
all the time.
Yeah, you just be giving head.
No, I fucked myself because I ate too many gas station burritos, which SkatCast and Time Suck listeners will know. And that's a true story. I did eat a lot of gas station burritos. They're my fave.
They're pretty fucking good.
And and a lot of people would
say
say,
taquitos are like 7-Eleven taquitos. I don't care about the bowel related consequences.
Yeah, okay.
I'm like, I have to force myself to not stop at 7-Elevens when I drive past them. To this day, I haven't
Nice.
had a taquito in a long time, but like I think about it every time I drive past one of those 7-Elevens specifically. I'm like, I want some of their shitty little meat rockets wrapped
Yeah.
in corn.
it's funny, like we have a Maverick gas station around here, and they have these tiny little tacos. And I was like, taco. I went in there looking for gas station burritos. Specific.
Their fucking
open.
burritos are awesome. by
there
the way.
are, but that's the thing.
That's
okay.
the one. That's the only thing I will get is Maverick breakfast burritos on an occasion.
Well, their
They're
breakfast
fucking
burritos
awesome.
are delicious.
Yeah.
The thing, okay, here's with so burritos. I'm going to finish this one story about
Right.
burritos for these time suck people forever. Because they'd send me burritos, and they'd send me the big old bomb burritos and stuff. I've still got like 4 in my freezer from stuff, and Bree sent me like 10 of them and stuff, and I was like, oh,
What?
Yeah, so I just had all these burritos from people that listen.
You're set for the
Let me
apocalypse.
tell no, because I don't like those burritos.
No.
There's one kind of burrito that I like. That's the gas station burrito. They're very small. They almost look like they're deep fried, but they're never deep fried because they don't have deep fryers. But the place both of the places in Coeur d'Alene by the Suck Dungeon, they did deep fry them. They air fried them or something. And so they're those little ones that you got in like the school cafeteria, like bean and cheese and the beef
I
and
know
bean.
what you're talking about.
Yes.
Yeah.
Those are, for some reason, like a nostalgia dopamine hit for me. So I'm eating them like, 7th grade was fun, wasn't it? Oh, peaked in 7th grade. Oh. So I like those. That's the only one. So when people send me the bomb burritos and shit, it's like, thank you, but no thank you.
That's not my burrito.
No, it's not. It's not. I don't identify for that. But thank you.
I was just talking about this with somebody the other day, but I think that most people probably have a food that was like shitty food that they were fed as a child. It's like it's
It's your
shitty.
comfort
As an
food.
adult, you're just like, this is not a good thing for me to eat, but you still like will keep some in your house, or you still
Yep.
go get it on a semi-regular
That's
basis
that.
because you're like, that's my. But that's my shitty food.
Yeah, like I want that because it makes me feel comfort.
Mine's instant mashed potatoes, the powder,
Really?
in the bag. Yeah, because I was fed those as a kid. Like that was mashed potatoes to me. I didn't know any better. Like,
They
I was
are
like,
pretty good,
This
though,
is
some of
how
them.
mashed potatoes are. I had real mashed potatoes. I was like, oh, I see the difference.
Yeah.
Where's the powder stuff though?
Yeah, give me the stuff that I like because of my childhood. God damn it.
I'll still do it. I've made a meal out of just that.
Well, I mean, I think it's the same thing as people buying Mr. Potato Head dolls and stuff, when they're 50. And it's
It's all
like,
potato related.
well, it shouldn't have gone potato. Okay, Star Wars. Well,
Okay.
like, in 1977, I saw Star Wars in
just
the
lost Jeff
theater. And there goes Jeff.
He's literally jumping off of a cliff right now.
I will say this. I wish I would have kept all my Star Wars toys because they're fucking valuable now.
Oh, yeah, I'm all
And I
for
had
money.
yeah.
Yeah.
all sorts of them, too. But I took them out of the box and played with them and
Oh,
set them on
yeah,
fire and
yeah.
shit. That was dumb.
You screwed up.
All right, so my hardest job was working for my parents. It was a pet store, and the reason why was because
Because they fed you dog food.
That's so funny.
Isn't
I
that
mean, I'm sorry, but that's really funny.
it was ridiculous. I mean, telling like now, this is
I'm
the first time
disappointed
you've
they
heard it.
didn't make you do tricks, though.
I know, right? I probably, being the kind of guy I was like, I'll do tricks just as an extra bonus for these customers because I'm a team player.
Zach, sit.
I am sitting.
I'm already sitting.
I can show you what I can do with my GI Joes. I seriously was under the counter playing with GI Joes, and she's like, Zach. Pop my head up.
No.
Up, down, back to the GI Joe. I'm not even kidding. It was like that.
She did at least call you up like a dog.
Oh, yeah.
Did she hold it up like this?
Dude,
And you just reached up
no,
with your hands?
I would take it and put it in my mouth, but it was.
So you could hold
You're
it yourself.
complicit.
That's good.
I am part of it. Like I did. She didn't do it to me. I did it to myself. Is what happened. I had full agency at that point.
Your tribe said this is what we're doing, and you went with your survival instincts.
That's exactly it. But the hard part was as I got older, and really I started. The reason why I got physically larger than other people was because of the dog food, obviously.
Right.
But I got stronger than a lot of the other kids because I was loading
dog food.
around 50-pound bags of dog food for customers from when I was 7 until I was 20 because I worked there, way long. And we would the business grew so much and so fast. We'd have 10,000 pounds of dog food shipped in every week, and we'd start off where it was like. It would be me, and we'd hire 2 people from like Manpower or whatever to come do it. And then there'd be the truck driver. So there's a bunch of people unloading this truck to where when I was like 14, 15, I was like, fuck it, I'm doing it all. And so I did it to myself again, but man, that was hard. But it made me stronger. I didn't have to go home and work out like a lot of the other kids.
So hard things make you better, is what you're
Indeed.
There you go.
But it was hard because my parents they took advantage of that shit a lot. Like I worked for them for free for like 5 years, and then I worked for like 50 cents an hour for like 3 years. But then at the end I was making, I think I was 16, 17 making 50 grand a year. So, or no, not, I think I was 17, 18 making 50 grand a year for a couple of years. So that was nice. Yeah. I bought my own car, my first car.
I spent most of that story just picturing like a Rocky Balboa-esque like montage, like a training montage of you just like
Rising
gobbling
up
down
up
dog
the
treats and
street.
lifting bags of dog food. Just like getting more and more ripped.
You are not wrong at all.
Slobbering a little bit sometimes.
Instead of chasing a chicken
I'm
around, he's
using your
chasing
foot
a
to scratch
chihuahua
behind
around.
your ear.
Well, not that last part, but I literally, I guarantee I was listening to like Eye of the Tiger and Metallica and shit while I'm doing that shit. Like, seriously, absolutely. So that was my hardest job, was working for my parents because they did not respect the child labor laws at all. And I empathize with, every time I hear that where they're like, we got rid of child labor laws, I just want to be like, show of hands of people that worked for their parents at some point. Tell us your story. And it's like,
You're definitely not alone, man.
like Monique too. Like she's a little girl, and she was like the toughest motherfucker in a metalwork place. Her dad ran
That's right,
a
yeah,
machine
she told
shop,
me about that.
and she's the toughest motherfucker from that shit. It's like, so both of us have that in common, where it's like our parents worked us to the bone. For their own profit. I missed
isn't it-
things in
but-
school.
and then when I asked for toys at the store, they wouldn't buy
Isn't that
them.
why you
for
have
me.
They're like, you have money, you buy it yourself.
That's why you have kids, so you don't have to do dishes and yard work anymore.
Sure.
Isn't that really?
Well, that's the other thing. So we had 8 dogs, I've told this story on SkatCast before and whatever, but I had 8 dogs and an acre plus of grass.
Oh yeah, we
And so-
bonded over this
Yeah,
fact.
fuck,
I
dude.
did this too.
And so just mowing the lawn, it was all grass. And it was all hilly. I was literally like, I mowed the lawn uphill both ways because literally it was a big bowl of hills and
That's
shit.
24 to 36 piles of shit you got to scoop a day.
Yeah. Dude,
Just over here doing
I
the
let
math.
2 days
Yeah, I did
go.
that quick. I had 3 dogs, so I counted.
I got in trouble. Well, the other thing is, like, it's not safe to have 8 dogs and you don't clean their shit every day. Like, they'll come because they came inside. And so they just lick you in the face or have shit on their paws and all that stuff. So my dad was like, if you don't do a good job at this, you make all of us sick. And I was like, oh, fuck. So I missed maybe one day ever. So, but I remember there was a time where, like, we went out of town or some shit and my grandma watched the dogs. And so it was like 3 days of dog shit picking up.
Couldn't see
I
any
was
grass.
out there, dude. I was out there with a garbage can. I drug a full garbage can up this big ass hill, and I've told this story before too. But the reason Spokane makes it so that you have to bag your dog shit and put it in a garbage can is because of my family. Because my dad and I, it was like a fucking can of beans. The garbage man, and this was before they had the machines to pick it up and to
fucking
move
gross.
it. It was like a can of beans, these guys. And I swear to God, they wanted to punch my dad in the face so much as they're letting the can of beans, they're beating their garbage cans. None of our garbage cans survived. Like, they would take their aggression on the
They just drop kick it back into
Dude,
your
you
yard.
if we would have had
Fuckers.
Oh, I
Oh,
know.
that's terrible.
I was a
Yeah.
little kid. I didn't know that my parents were absolute motherfuckers. Plus, we had 8 dogs in a neighborhood.
Yeah,
Dude, that's
Growled and
I'm
barked.
definitely
There's
not
a
on their
po-
side in this story.
No.
I
There's a
empathize with the
point where
garbage
that's
man.
fucking intentional.
Me too. What's that?
There's a point where that's
I
intentional.
know. It felt like, I mean, I think they felt like it was personal. Like, you guys, do you not realize that there's humans involved here? That we're looking at a fucking 40, 50, 90 pounds of dog shit?
Oh, in the summertime, the maggot.
Oh,
Oh,
dude.
my God, dude. I mean,
Believe me.
I've had to go search for shit in dumpsters because people thought it was dead bodies in there, and I had to like dig around and figure out what
Right.
the hell it was. And even that doesn't sound as bad as
Being a garbage man
the
for my
fucking
family.
garbage man with a week's worth of dog shit piled up, because it's not light.
No.
And
no,
then
they got to put
it's
their
just
back
the
into it too.
maggot soup that is like 3 feet high and weighs about 115 pounds, and you can't lift. And then it just pours out like
Dude.
refried beans that are just a little bit.
These are the metal cans too. These are the old school silver
Sorry
metal
for that
cans.
visual. I hope I built. Actually,
If you guys
I
are
hope
eating
I
lunch,
gave you an incredible
I
visual
hope
for
it's
your
not
lunch
chili.
break.
No.
So yeah, my childhood was lots of poop. There was lots of
that
dog
garbage
poop
guy's
everywhere.
Rocky montage was more hardcore than yours, dude. I would take the eating the dog treats over the.
He's more like a revenge kind of guy. He's like a Kill Bill
dude, that's
kind of
how
movie.
You created a villain for
I did.
sure.
I-
There's
it wasn't
definitely
me.
a supervillain somewhere.
I did what I was told.
and it was you were complicit.
Actually, I will. I will say this. So my parents got in trouble or something. The ordinance happened probably because of my parents, where they're like, you have to bag it now. And for a little while, I was like, no. So there was
so
some
you were
time.
no.
Yeah. So for some time, I was
see,
like,
it's
I
your
don't
fault.
care. Yeah.
So it was some intent. It was just I can't blame it on your dad. It's you.
Yeah. Well, I was like
It's your
10.
fault.
I was like 10.
Okay.
I wasn't a great 10-year-old. I wasn't a nice person until
10
yesterday.
doesn't make it okay. I just wanted
He
to know
wasn't
where
a
it
nice
came
person
from.
until
I want to
you
blame the
learned
right
how to
person.
Exactly. Once the garbage man confronted me and was like, I have kids, dude. And I have nightmares now.
Is that what he said?
No. I'm just, I know, I never talked. I remember.
I'm like, that's awesome.
I haven't seen my family in a week because I can't wash the smell
I
of
can't
dog shit off of my clothes.
all I see is.
So there was never a confrontation. I wanted a
I
confrontation.
saw outside the window of my house. I saw him being pissed one time. The garbage. There's 2 of them, and I saw the garbage man being pissed. But that's all I saw. And I remember my dad having some sort of conversation with him before that too, where it was kind of heated, where it was like, well, I couldn't even tell what they were, but it was like, we got to bag the dog shit or whatever after that. I don't remember what it was. but
I'm sure it started, hey, motherfucker.
well, there couldn't have been too many other.
And it was the garbage man talking.
that means that we were the worst house in the whole area, and that they were talking about like, oh fuck, I got to do this run today. It's
Bragging
like, will you
rights,
take
dude.
it? Yeah.
Well, they were Rochambeauing before they got to your house over who the poor bastard was that had to get that can. And it probably took 2 people most of the time.
I'll say this too: my parents' house got egged a lot.
I can't understand why.
Yeah. I mean, we had these big these big windows that you couldn't. I mean, you had to get like a giant ladder to
See,
get you
again,
to clean
how
them.
did,
You had collies?
No, we had labs at this point. But
I was
growing
gonna say,
like when I was 2.
collies barks are just ugh.
8 labs.
They're shrill.
Yeah, we had 8 labs at the time, and only 7 of them were out at once because we had a 2 male problem. I talked about that on the show too. It's the pimpage. But anyway, but they would howl in like a chorus, and I mean they would bark annoyingly like our dog does now.
Did you play guitar to it?
I bet I could have if I had a guitar at the time, yeah. But no, I never did. I didn't play guitar till I was like 18, 17, 16, I guess. But
yeah, 16 for me too.
Yeah, 16. Yeah, late bloomer. But no, my neighbors hated us so much because of that. Because as soon as we would leave, like I played sick all the time. I missed most of school in junior high and high school. Like I just missed most of it because I was playing video games in my house, and my mom would always just give me a note. And the dogs would think that my parents were gone. They went to work, and they would just all day just scream and howl, and it got to be pretty where it was like a little chorus of dog howls.
And you're like, I'm sick, I can't do anything.
No, I would go scream at him because I'm like, shut the fuck up, I'm playing fucking Nintendo or whatever. But it was beautiful to hear. It was just kind of like, wow, nobody thought about that. But then people would literally call my parents at work and be like, your dogs have been howling for 4 hours. Please come home and shut them up. So my parents
have to shoot them.
So I guess speaking to your point, most people do suck, I guess, because my parents both 100% sucked.
Yeah.
Whoops. At least to the other folk.
And look at how you turned out.
I suck as well.
You also suck.
I'm also a piece of suck. All right, you guys. So we have another little subject that we wanted to talk about before we get to our ghost stories. And that was your scenario for suicide.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So
I don't know if I set it up right. I think I was like, it's a joke. It's not a joke.
No, this is not a joke at all. For
about.
Whatever reason, I think about dumb shit and weird shit all the time because that's just part of my makeup, I guess. And I was thinking about suicide in general. It's like, well, wait a minute. What if somebody say, I don't know, overdoses on pills or shoots themselves and they're not dead, they're not bled out or anything, or they're not, they're still conscious. And so you come in, you run in, the natural reaction is to save the day and call medics, and the medics get there and they pick them up, they haul them off to the hospital. Well, lo and behold, to save the person's life, they got to be in the hospital for a couple of weeks, but things are going to be medically okay. Mm-hmm. But the problem is that person didn't want you to save them. They want you to be dead. They wanted to be dead.
Right.
So now they're stuck with all these doctor bills. Like,
right.
They didn't sign any consent forms. And I understand that the error of caution is to, without signatures and stuff, is to save somebody.
Yeah.
But really, it's like, who is that really something that we should do? Should they really be liable for those bills?
Right. Especially if
not that I have anybody else that should pay them. Does the person that saved them paying them because they made the decision for them to live against their will?
Right. You got to wonder, is that something that we should eat as a society or whatever? Yeah. Because what if that poor guy was going to commit suicide because of finances, where it's like, hey, we brought you back, also you owe $120,000 more than you did before. It's like, why?
Well, it's my understanding as working for the government, anytime somebody we dealt with suicidals on a regular basis, took people to the hospital a lot.
Right.
It was at least my understanding, I might be wrong, that a portion of that is paid by the sheriff's office because we're government and we're making them go. I think it made the government responsible for that.
Right. Which means the taxpayers are responsible for it.
Or, yeah, which means everybody's paying for it. So,
yeah.
I don't know if that's right or wrong. If somebody's ever in my custody, the government.
It shouldn't be him paying for it, probably.
Yeah, I don't know. It was just a weird thought. I'm like, I wonder if they can, like, okay, well, now I'm going to live, but now I'm going to sue you because I didn't want to live to begin with.
Right.
And now sue the person that saved their life.
That's complicated. I have to think about that a little bit more. Yeah. But I don't know.
Maybe too deep. But
there's a lot of
screw you, buddy.
There's a lot of nuance there too, right? Because it's like, I mean, you can really dig into it. Like, what was the method? Their chosen method to end their life. Like, was it a surefire thing or not? Like if you're trying to like overdose yourself, for example, right. And then you just like, it was a matter of pure ignorance. Like you didn't know how much to take to really follow through all the way on that, and so then you were saved, and it's like, well, I'm not saying you deserve it, but if you messed it up, you know what I'm saying, then like, who does somebody else have to pay because of your miscalculation? Right. It's just, it's a cold way to look at it. Like, I feel like you have to look at it analytically, because when you start thinking about man, that poor person that tried to off themselves. It's like, gosh, like I don't
Well,
want to
morally-
heap more suffering upon them necessarily, but also like,
Back on morals, though, the right thing to do with society is to save them, right?
Right.
At all cost. No, well, at the cost that you can. Yeah, well, basically at all costs,
Yeah.
regardless of what they wanted. I'm going to save them because that's what we try to do.
because you don't know what they wanted. at
Right.
that
I mean,
point,
I
you
know
So, like,
somebody
yeah, if you-
personally who intentionally smashed their car into a tree to kill themselves. Well, they didn't. They're quadriplegic. Now they couldn't kill themselves if they wanted to. And guess what? They don't want to live.
Yeah, that's a bad method. I feel like
yeah.
that's just not that's what I'm talking about.
Well,
That's not
yeah.
a reliable way to.
He was a
to
convicted
end
felon.
your
He
life.
didn't have access to a gun. That's actually true.
Yeah, but you can get a gun pretty easy in the black market. I'm just saying. But he didn't want to.
He didn't want to.
Okay, fair enough. A car
he
just
didn't,
seems like,
want to maybe get caught with the gun and get arrested.
Yeah.
But then he was going to kill himself. So
Well, man, fuck. It's
Yeah.
weird how this world affects all of us, isn't it? Jesus.
It is
Our
weird. I don't know.
decisions.
It's an interesting thing to think about, and it's not that I'm unempathetic to suicide. Because I have actually had several people close to me over the years that have ended their own lives, and it's like I'm pretty keenly aware of all the effects around it. But it is interesting because it's like, you know, the thinking is when you take your own life, then the whole point is you don't have to deal with it anymore. You know, or you know, that's like
Right.
the main objective,
Generally,
I suppose.
depression,
you know?
etc.
And so, but everybody else does in one form or another. You know, whether it be emotionally or in this case financially. So it's just like, who determines what's fair in that situation? It's an interesting thing to think about because it's like, you know, my knee-jerk reaction was like, well, they created the situation, so they should have to pay for it, you know. But it's just like, but then, like you said, if it was a matter of if somebody hadn't intervened,
they would have
succeeded.
carried out. And it's not a crime to kill yourself.
right?
Which,
So-
you know, I mean, obviously we as a society find it, I guess, immoral to some degree. In some religions, you know, you go to the hell if you kill yourself. So that's
Sure.
immoral to them, you know, but in reality, I mean, obviously I'm not a proponent of people killing themselves. And I've stopped many, you know, hundreds, maybe thousands of people from doing it throughout my career and personal life.
Yeah.
But I think that everybody's at least thought about it.
Yeah.
But it's not to say
This whole ride is
that if somebody
voluntary.
ultimately makes that decision, that I have the right to not allow them to on a personal level, obviously not on a professional level.
I'm a
Or
pro
on a
Dr.
professional level,
Kevorkian
hell,
guy,
sometimes
so
they would use me to do it. So you know.
that I'm not for. Yeah,
Right.
suicide by cop was the worst
Right.
possible way to do it. You're a cunt if you even contemplate that. But
I agree completely.
yeah. But
Then
what
you're
about Dr.
putting it on somebody
Kevorkian?
else.
On this week's Dave and Angus, we went and visited Massachusetts and we saw his art. It was so creepy. Now that I've seen his art, I'm like, what? So for those of you that don't know, Dr. Kevorkian is Dr. Death, and he facilitated, I think, like 200 or 300 suicides where they chose to die, and he just administered medication and stuff. I'm so for that. If you're at a place and the pain is unbearable, and it really should be medical stuff where you're in pain and whatever. But fuck, having somebody, I'd love to hear.
when you're done.
I'm done. I am pro Dr. Kevorkian. He's dead now, but I'm pro that.
I am too. But I think that's, again, I don't want to have a discussion about abortion, but the biggest concern, the biggest conflict is where do you draw the line of where it's okay and where it's not okay.
Right.
The same thing would be with assisted suicide.
Yeah.
Where do you draw the line where it's okay or not okay? I mean, I think everybody in general is like, well, if you have cancer, you're terminal, you're in so much pain. I mean, obviously we would put our dogs down and that's
Yeah.
okay. But if you put grandma down for the same things, it's immoral. And I don't understand
It's because
that.
you say it like that. We can't. It's not putting grandma down.
Well,
It's the Rainbow Bridge.
Yes,
or
I say it
some sort
tongue in
of,
cheek, but the principle, the principle is still
put
the.
down.
we put down grandma.
What?
It sounds a lot better
Mom.
than grandma fell off the roof or something.
Mima. We took Mima to the vet. And it was okay. We got her a cheeseburger, and she had her favorite toy.
Yeah, she had her
and-
favorite last meal. I mean, even people on, death row get their favorite last meal. So,
Mima.
I mean, if that was an option, that'd be great. Most of us don't get that die on our own. We're like, God damn, I should have had that steak and eggs.
That's why.
whatever.
That's why I figured out my plan is to scuba dive to death. That's what I want to do.
Just what you do is you
get
do the
really
same
high.
thing. You just don't use the scuba.
no, but I want to do the scuba.
Oh, you
I
just
want to
want-
be eaten by a shark and shit out by a shark.
Yeah,
That's
but
how.
if you don't do the scuba, your eardrums will rupture before you get to the dying, and that sounds awful.
That does sound awful.
He'll only hear it for a second though.
You're so narc.
The feeling
though.
will be a lifetime, which will be very short. At that
Yeah,
point.
it will.
So,
It will. But I mean, if I'm terminal and stuff, it's like I'm gonna go scuba diving, see it, never.
but I guess
You know,
that,
so
back on what I was saying, I think that line is going to continuously be pushed. Because now what's the big buzz thing is mental illness, right? Well, it is a illness that can chronically affect your life. Obviously, it makes people want to kill themselves as it is. So, do they have the right to go get an assisted suicide?
In Canada now, yeah.
I mean, like,
Did you guys hear about that?
But that's
You
gonna be
just
the
reminded
argument.
me of that. They're okay. I maybe shouldn't say Canada because I can't remember. I just looked at this. It could have been like a specific province, but they were basically saying that they wanted to start pushing medically assisted suicide as an option for any and all mental illness too. Like if you so
Whoa.
you can just go to the doctor and be like, I'm depressed, kill me.
yeah. So,
And they'll go,
point
okay,
in my
and
case.
they'll do it.
I don't know about that.
I don't know about that
Yeah.
either. I think that's
I
not
don't think
good.
you-
Point
if
in
you're-
case, but at the same time, it's weird to say I don't know about that, but at the same time, it's like on a
I want to give people freedom. So I mean, it
Right,
should be
that's
up-
what I'm saying.
yeah,
on a
yeah.
freedom level, I mean, if somebody really, really wants to
Yeah.
kill themselves, obviously,
Who am I to tell them not
as
to?
human beings and sentients, we would do anything we could to talk them out of it. But at the end of the day, if that's what they chose,
Yeah.
I have to be okay with that. I don't have a choice. I have to be okay
Yeah,
with that.
but what
whether
about
it's
the
sad or not.
doctors
That's what
that
they
are
did.
now in the position where they have to do it? It's part of their job now. Whether no matter how they feel about it or what they have to live with, that's
Again, being put in that position really, really sucks.
yeah.
That's going to probably get less people wanting to do that job, or maybe a different kind of
I
person
think
doing
so.
that job.
So to clarify, I definitely believe that people should have the right to do with their lives what they want at the end of the day. You know what I mean? If
As long as it doesn't hurt people, yeah.
That's what I mean. If it creates consequences for other people, your actions,
And not
then-
just emotional consequences, because we've already established that somebody killing themselves obviously causes
Of
multiple
course.
problems for people involved.
Of course, yeah. But at the end of the day, you're the only one that has to live in your skin, and if you choose to not want to do that anymore, I think that's your prerogative. I would encourage you to find any other alternative. I think it's honorable and commendable to continue living, especially in the face of adversity. So like
Maybe that's how you grow.
I don't think it's a good thing to be like, oh well, life's hard, just kill yourself if you're
Yeah.
allowed to. Like that's never. I think that as somebody who's been in that space before and decided, no, I'm going to stick around, there's potential that you don't know about, on the
Yeah.
other side down the road that you never will get the chance, and neither will anybody else. You never get the chance to know, if you
There's
just
so
make
many
the
things
exit,
that
so.
make it so you feel like the darkness there'll never be a light. It's just too far.
Well,
And you
I'll-
got to remember that no matter what, there's always light. There's always things always get better.
And I will tell
unless
you-
you're terminally ill and you're
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But if I was at the end of my life and I was so infirm and just suffering all the time, and all my good life was already behind me,
We put Shaiden
and I
down.
want to, and I decide I want to leave, God help, help. So whatever you believe in, help that person if they try to stand between me and
Death.
making my exit.
Right,
I'd rather be allowed to make an exit on my own terms and do it with some degree of grace, rather than to just have to suffer because of other people being like, no, that's not allowed, you can't do that. And I'm like,
Right.
okay, watch me.
I'll tell you that in my job
Contrarian
as
to the end.
in my job as a negotiator, I mean, I did a lot of, and also just working the road in general. I had some mental health expertise,
Yeah.
so I was actually called to go deal with a lot of suicidal barricaded type subjects.
Yeah, a lot.
And talk to them for hours on end, and 99.99% of the time with a positive result. But even in those conversations, you're talking to them, they're talking to you, and it's not to be funny, but it's a little funny. But at some point, you're like, "Motherfuck, I agree with you. You probably should go." God damn, if I was in your position, I would feel the same fucking way.
Right.
I would probably whack myself
Like, I don't
if I
see
had
an
your
out-
life.
I don't see an
Life
out in
can
this.
get
And that's
pretty
then that's
fucking
another
dark.
challenge I got to get through to put that get that out of my head, because
Right. Well, it's not socially acceptable to think like that. How dare you?
Right,
Yeah,
right,
To, to agree with somebody for their decision like that. Yeah, I remember
talking to a guy who's a pedophile who's confessing all
That's what I
these
was
rapes
thinking.
to a child, and telling me, and here I am trying to convince him to, which happened to be the
You told me that
guy that I shot, but
we
that
talked.
wasn't my fault. He came at me with a knife.
Right.
But yeah, that was a hard one to keep that conversation going in a burning building with fire alarms going for 20 minutes. And I, at one point, had him coming down peacefully, and then he changed his mind. But yeah, it was hard with what he's telling me to then have
want to save
compassion
him,
and
yeah.
want to save his life.
Right.
So,
Seriously, fuck.
not that that had anything to do with the response to the shooting. That was to
No.
avoid
He
getting
attacked
stabbed.
you.
I
Yeah,
commend you.
I
I don't
remember
think
that.
I don't think I could have stayed the course in your shoes in that position. I think I probably would have been like, you know what?
In my
Okay,
head,
at the very least, I would have been like, okay, well, you're on your own then.
in my head,
Not gonna
that's
shoot
what I
you
was
for you,
thinking. But my words are coming out different, and that's the funny thing is
fire
when it
made
comes
it
to
weird.
That type of crime, I think across the board, people are going to go in that case. Yeah, I get it.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, for sure. I don't know. Pedophiles, at the very least, castrated, and then go from there. That's
Sure.
what I think. So, yeah.
I'm for that.
Yeah.
I'll vote. Let's vote on it.
Vote.
Oh, speaking of which,
I think it's a good deterrent.
yeah, I
think
just got my cat Thomas got his nuts cut off.
No,
so,
poor little
yeah.
Thomas. He's a tomcat.
Yeah, I got him shaved too, like a lion. He looks like a badass. Yeah.
Nice.
But Mr. Fuzzy Balls doesn't have fuzzy balls anymore.
He's probably wondering what the hell happened.
Yeah, he's got no more kitty ball hair. So his nickname was Teabag because all he did was sit around and lick his balls. Now he doesn't have any balls to lick. I feel a little bad.
You
took away his-
I took away his pastime. But he would just come up
He
and
has
his
to find
mouth,
new purpose.
his
now.
mouth would just be packed full of kitty ball hair and like and just like
That's so funny because, you were like, hey, he's so cute. And then you removed the thing that made him cute. How dare
yeah.
you.
Well, yeah. When he started, like literally intentionally trying to shove his ball sack on the bridge of my nose, that's when I'm like, okay, we're done.
You're done.
And that's the day he lost him.
And that's the perfect way to segue to ghost stories for some reason.
Okay.
It's not.
The ghost of your cat's
balls.
sack.
There you go. See, we can segue anyway. All right, so ghost stories. We promised the ghost stories. I hope you guys thought long and hard about your ghost stories. Do you have any ghost stories?
Well, I'm going to let you tell the one since
Okay.
we were involved.
We were together, yeah.
my ghost story. Fuck ghost story. So I was at
Your paranormal, it may have been.
may have
Weird,
paranormal. Some weird
unexplainable.
shit happened, and I didn't automatically say ghost, but my cousin did, which I thought was funny. So my cousin was my tattoo artist at Rage Studios in Spokane, and the place that he's in was already, apparently it was a brothel, and somehow, because it was a brothel, that made it potentially haunted. I don't know what the correlation was.
It seems like all the brothels,
Yeah,
like all
yeah.
the old West towns and
'Cause
stuff,
it's
they're all like, that's
sin.
the haunted place. Yeah.
It's full of sin, so it must have
Well, and
evil
also, I
spirits.
think it also has to do with like crimes of passion, right? Like
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I
guy,
suppose.
You're supposed to be my whore. You slept with Jim Bob, and I know because he told me. So now I'm gonna get you one last time, and you're dead. And then
I mean,
she
so
becomes
you
a
can-
ghost.
I
you
think
know?
that's how much,
'Cause
that's
that's not fair.
faith I
She's
put in
just
it.
doing her job.
That's right. The injustice of the yeah. I think it makes sense.
Yeah.
Anyway, you can see how much faith I'm putting in it being a ghost, but it was fucking weird nonetheless.
Shun the
So
non-believer.
we got some music on. He's tattooing me, and I can't draw a diagram, but basically he has a door that you can't see and about an 8-foot hallway that you walk down. The door doesn't swing shut. You have to open it and physically close it because it's an older building. So we hear the door open, door physically closes, and we hear footsteps. And he stopped tattooing. We're both looking to see who's coming in, and there was just nothing. And we waited like 20 seconds. Like, what the fuck? Maybe someone's scratching their balls in the hallway. Who knows what the fuck
Right.
they're doing? Maybe they're going to shoot us. Yeah, whatever. But then the music shut off, and the music he had control of the music there at the station. It just shut off for no fucking reason. And then we went around, and there was nobody there.
Yikes.
So he automatically dismissed that to being ghosts in his building. And I had said, well, I don't know what the fuck it was, but I know what it wasn't, a person. So,
Right.
yeah.
Wild.
Could have been a really smart raccoon.
Yes, it's close. It
have
was on the
thumbs,
second
you know.
story.
Didn't really
so.
like Pantera.
That's right. He was like, get that shit off. He chewed the cord somewhere, and you just didn't see where he chewed the cord. So that's an interesting
That's
story.
that's about as ghosty as I get.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell the one with you and I. So we went to Seattle for a trip. I think I was playing a dumb acoustic show, or did we just go for fun?
No, you played a trip for some auto auction or something like that.
Oh, it was that weeds. It was that.
Auto pot.
It was a
whatever
pot
it was.
auto.
That's right.
Cars and pot. I don't know.
Yeah.
But it was. I was
Good
playing.
combo.
Smoke and drive.
I was playing like a Hempfest kind of thing, but it was a little side version of Hempfest in Tacoma or something like that. Anyway, we went there for the weekend, and Seattle's old and it has lots of brothels. So apparently it's super haunted. But we went to a Mexican restaurant, super good, and it was old, in an old building or whatever. And we're sitting there, and a couple things happened. The first thing that was weird, I think the salt thing happened first to me. So I was a smoker back then, so every 5 minutes, I'd go get up and go have a smoke. And every single time, there would be not just a little bit of salt, but a pile of salt in my pants, my track pants. Yeah, in my lap, where it's like, fuck, who's fucking with me? I don't believe in ghosts, so that was my first thing. Was like, fucking, who's fucking with me? And there's no salt. There's no salt on the table.
It's a Mexican restaurant. Yeah,
Right,
there's Tapatio, and that was it.
There was no salt. There's salt on the chips, and they did it for us, so there's no salt. And I was like, what the fuck? And so I go out and have a smoke and come back in, sit down, do the same thing, get up, have a smoke, and be like, there's the same size pile of fucking salt in my lap. Like, this is weird, because this is enough to season everyone's food like 4 times, and I have no idea why this would happen.
Did you taste it?
I did not
Are you
taste
sure it was salt?
That's a good question. No, I don't. It looked like
It
it could have
appeared
been
as salt.
Maybe you know what was happening underneath the desk? They were hiding drugs.
That's probably what it was.
Just
Yeah,
got
a little
the
bit of cocaine
Yeah.
was just dribbling on.
that would have been better. I should have tried it. That would have made for an even more fun night.
See, that's what happens when your parents taught you to stop reaching underneath the tables for gum. So
Right.
you would have found cocaine.
That's true. I
Yeah.
should have fucking looked for it. Damn. But anyway,
Business opportunity lost.
but I think I for some reason I was certain it was salt. So I'm pretty
looked
sure
like salt.
it did look like salt. Yeah, you saw it.
Yeah.
And it happened I think 3 times. And the thing that happened the most that was the most interesting was something glass broke on our table. The 3 of us heard it break, and there was glass in our food.
Little bits
little
everywhere.
tiny bits of glass in our food. We looked at all of the things on the table. No glass is broken. We're actually kind of a distance away from any of the other tables, so it wasn't. Jeff and I were both like, "Who's fucking with us here?"
Yeah.
And it didn't seem like anybody was.
Nothing
It still
above
could be.
you broke?
No, it wasn't. We looked at the lamp. We looked at the weird
hell?
candles and shit. Yeah, and it was just like we just spontaneously have glass in our food
Yeah,
now.
we all heard the glass break, but I mean, we were all at the table facing, in a triangle, so to speak.
Yeah.
On this raised table and stools. There's nothing on the ground.
Yeah.
It was just on our table.
It was unexplainable to
Yeah.
Jeff and I, who are both huge skeptics. But the lady that worked there, and Monique was with us too, and she has a different experience that maybe I'll have her tell this story on another podcast. But the lady that worked there was like, "Oh yeah, it's probably the ghost. We'll switch out your food or whatever it was, or I don't know.
It's
Nobody
just
got new
another
food.
day. It's just another
It
Thursday
was.
for them.
It was, and they actually said you guys should go across the street. That's the most haunted place in the entire city or whatever. And we did, but I think it was closed. Yeah, we went in. I think too. I'm not sure. It was just a hotel
I don't know,
across
we
the
drank
street.
a lot on
Yeah,
that
we
trip.
drank so much. That
But
night.
I will say that at that point, alcohol had nothing to do with.
No,
This
it was pretty
experience.
early in the night.
Yeah, it was,
yeah.
we were just getting started.
Yeah. It wasn't until we walked up the hill and found that nice little bar.
Yeah.
And
Stayed in the
That is when Zach-
merchant cafe over there in Seattle. That's supposed to be really haunted. It's like it was a brothel too. At one point.
That's when Zach realized either alcohol doesn't affect me or I just act drunk all the time.
That's right. You drank. I don't know how much whiskey you drank, but Monique and I were just like, ah! You were like, "Hey, what's up? You guys want more?" Like, no.
It's that he just acts like a really tame drunk all the time.
Could be.
Yeah.
Except for my Captain Morgan stance, which you called me out on, which is true.
Yes.
You got a Captain Morgan stance?
When I get drunk, I do the Captain Morgan stance.
You just stand with the 1 foot up on.
I do, with the elbow on the.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Gotta let him swing.
All right, it's your turn. What kind of ghosties you got for us?
So for a portion of time, I was back and forth between my parents' houses. My mom lived here in Spokane. My dad was up in Canada, so I'd come down for weekends mostly. But my mom took over this house that was her grandmother's house, I think. My great-grandma on her side, who I never met. But anyway, she died. Her husband was already dead. I never met either of them. But their house passed to my mom's mom, my grandma, and she was trying to figure out what to do with it, and everything was kind of, the estate was being figured out. So she just let my mom and my stepdad live there and like take care of it while it was being figured out. And it took like over a year, so they were there for a while. So every time I visited, I was there, and that place was like a legitimate haunted house. Like there was so much weird, unexplainable, creepy, awful shit that happened to me there, and it wasn't just me. Like both of them.
And
were
it wasn't
just, like,
Grandpa.
It wasn't Grandpa. No, it was weird.
It's usually
like,
Uncle Bob.
It was
or
like I
something
don't
else.
even know if this really qualifies.
It's always an uncle.
Yeah, right. It's always Uncle.
It's Uncle
Yeah.
Bob. It's everybody's got an Uncle Bob.
I do, actually.
Me too.
I don't.
All right.
Sorry.
anymore.
Didn't mean
Actual people,
didn't
not
mean to ruin
Canadians.
the case study. I apologize.
I had to throw the Canadian thing in there.
So, I don't know that I don't know that I could call this ghost necessarily, but it was something extra normal, supernatural.
Okay.
But so the word I'll tell the one that freaked me out the most. So I was it was late at night, and I stayed up all night then because it was like nobody watched me and I could do whatever I wanted, and I was just nocturnal anyway. So so I'm up late at night, and it's like 2 or 3 in the morning, and I'm like, man, I should probably go to bed 'cause somebody's gonna wake me up. I'll be tired. So I'm like, I'm gonna go to the living room, find a movie to put on, and just like put it in to fall asleep to in my room. So the living room is situated next to the dining room, and there's just like a big archway between them, and the other side of the archway is the hallway that goes down towards all the bedrooms. Okay, so I have to go to the opposite side of the living room to look for a movie. So I'm like leaned over the couch with my back to the archway, right?
Okay.
And the house creeps me out. I'm already creeped out because I've had a bunch of shit already at this point happen to me in this house, But so I'm creeped out, but I'm like, I'll just grab a movie and I'll go. And I kept feeling like somebody's looking at me, like that. Somebody's watching you,
Oh, yeah.
right? So, and I'm dismissing. I'm like, no, like you're just being creeped out, and you're creating things in your mind or whatever. So I was like, I'm not even gonna look. Like it doesn't matter. Like there's nobody there. I'm not even gonna look.
How old are
So
you again?
I'm like 14,
Okay.
maybe 15.
14 and 15-year-old logic
Yeah.
in play.
Yeah, so I'm not even gonna look. Like screw that. So
Brave 14,
and so
15-year-old
I'm
logic.
still fishing through the movies, and I'm just like, all right, just look, get it over with, make yourself feel better, just reassure yourself there's nothing there. So I turn around and I look, and there is this like inky black silhouette, like a figure.
Oh, I got creepy goosebumps.
I can't
just
tell
got 'em.
this story without getting goosebumps.
I just
You guys
got 'em
are
up on my
witness. All
spine.
my hair standing
See,
up
I
right
got
now.
nothing, but obviously you saw this
Dude,
because
yeah, so there's this inky black figure. It looks like a
Ugh.
person, but no defined details. It's just darker than the dark house that I'm in, and it's leaning around
Oh, fuck.
the archway from the direction of the bedroom hallways, right? And it's got red eyes, dude. I'm
Oh,
not,
God.
I swear I'm not making this up. It's got red, like angry red eyes, and I looked at it, and I kind of like I was doing a double take, blinking, like what the heck? Like, am I seeing this? And it stayed, like it
dude,
persisted.
I know you believe this because look at your
Yeah, I believe him. I believe that he was terrified too.
hair. That is insane.
and it goes like this. It goes, and then pulled back, and I heard down the hallway towards my fucking bedroom, and I'm sitting there like, okay, I guess I'm gonna fucking sleep outside tonight. Like,
Yeah, what do you do in that situation? Do you
so I did
just
the
watch
thing
your movie
that
and
normally gets you killed in horror movies, probably.
Grab
but
the knife out of the kitchen.
I grabbed a movie.
that'll get him?
Just like reached back, grabbed a random movie, walked down that same hall to my bedroom, closed the door, put the movie in, got under the covers, and just laid there until
That is how
I
you get-
eventually
yeah.
fell asleep. I was like, I'm just gonna pretend that didn't happen.
If Angry Red Eye wanted to kill you, that would have been the perfect place to do
Dude,
that.
it was
Or way to do
horrifying to this day. It still
Ah.
freaks me out.
It gave me goosebumps the whole time. Cause
Yeah, I had goosebumps. the whole
yeah,
time.
dude.
Like, ugh. I've told that story a bunch of times, and it still gets me. Every
Info at
time I tell it.
SkatCast.com if you also got goosebumps when he was telling that story. Actually, you know what? I want to hear your guys' stories. If you've got anything you want to send in, let us know about your ghost stories.
Yeah, send
let's-
me some ghost stories.
Let's hear what you got. I have one more ghost story that I want to tell real quick. I went to Nebraska before I married Monique with another girlfriend and her family, and they rented. It used to.
cornfields.
Yeah, that's
Okay,
cornfields.
it's coming from the corn.
Now, this used to be, brothels are a big place for hauntings. So are the formal mental institutions.
Yeah.
And this place was a big church-run mental institution at one point. It turned into a bunch of different kind of hospitals, and now they rent it out to families to have their summer vacation, I guess, or whatever.
Perfect.
It was huge.
Why wouldn't
we had,
you?
Right. We had tons of room. We had a big kind of group with us. It was like 8 or 9 family members and stuff. And it was enough room to where I could go into a whole other wing and go play guitar, and no one could hear me. So I was just like, fuck, hell yeah, I'm going to go play. I took my guitar and I went into
the wrong wing.
I went into the wrong wing.
Oh, no.
I went into the weird room. And again, I don't believe in ghosts, but something happened very strange the whole time. So it didn't like my guitar playing or my singing or something, because the moment, I tuned it. I have a tuner and I tuned it. It went out of...
He's like, it was good, I swear.
It was. It was an Ovation guitar, and those can be a little frisky.
Was that when you wrote Just a Ride? Was it that song?
No. I did write a song that I still play there. I can't remember what it was. And probably a bunch of dumb ones, too, that I never would hear again. But no, I didn't write anything that night, and I went back later. But because the guitar went out of tune just like that. All the strings went out of tune. I was playing it, and they all went out of tune. Like, I don't even think that's possible. It's not
today.
This is an acoustic guitar, and it just went. And I was like, and I got the goosebumps that you just had over me. Like, I felt like
he's got goosebumps right now.
Yeah, I do. There's a story to this. There were in this room that I chose were beds with fucking little, the little restraints.
4-point restraints.
Yes, it was. That's the whole wing was this. So it was creepy to begin. That's my point.
That's one of your.
But really, there's not much more to it. But except for this huge impression, and I'm just a dumb whatever. But I had this impression that it was a child fucking with me. I couldn't shake that thought. And then come to find out it was the child wing and da-da-da-da-da. So it was, then they messed with me afterwards. They're like reiterating. They're like, oh yeah, he hated music, or that kind of shit. It's like, whoa. But so I had that feeling.
And you
cold,
still don't believe.
And I still don't play guitar. I still can't.
But you still don't believe.
No, I've had even more experiences with Monique too. It's not that I don't believe. I don't believe people's explanations for things.
Yeah.
Because whenever that gets into ghosts and stuff, then I end up having to listen to Bible stories, and then it's same with conspiracy theories. When I got into conspiracy theories on my own, I would read all these books and stuff. And then when you're done reading and you kind of believe what you believe, you look around and you're like, oh, fuck, all the people that think like I do are fucking nuts. Yeah. So, like, I'm in the weird spot. So when it comes to the ghost stuff, a lot of the people that I've met, they seem kind of credulous anyway. They seem like they're not going to back up with a lot of their stuff with giving a fuck if it's true or not. But then I also know people, very smart people, that are the complete opposite of that almost treat it like a science, and I respect those people and I want them to whatever. But I can't believe. I know that I feel things, and I know that, like, just you telling that story, your I guess fear, like, from telling that story is what, like,
that came through the room. For
it's
sure.
my empathy for you made me have goosebumps too. So it's like, I don't know. Like, even when I watch people on those ghost shows, I've seen a few ghost shows, it's their fear that makes me go, oh, fuck. It's not that I believe that they saw it. It's just I believe that they're afraid.
Well, and it's just like in a religion. At the end of the day, I don't know.
Yeah,
maybe.
Exactly.
Maybe. We'll never know.
Well, what do you believe? You don't believe in ghosts at all?
No.
Okay.
No.
Doesn't make any sense possible. Like, you're inside
Not
your
really.
meat suit.
Again,
and your meat suit
I'm
expires,
like, maybe.
Right. Yeah.
Maybe. Fuck, I don't know.
Wouldn't it suck?
I'm not arrogant enough to say that I know one way or the other.
Here's the thing, though. If ghosts was true, if being a ghost was true, that means that you die, and if you don't, like, walk through the light right or some shit, or if you don't follow directions properly, you're just stuck. Yeah. You're just stuck fucking around where you can't eat. I mean, do you eat when you're a ghost? Like, do you scratch? Do you have the same clothes on? Can you jerk off?
In the movie
if you're
Ghost, he did have the same clothes on.
Did he jerk off, though? That's the thing I want to know. Like,
could he
jerk off? Like, maybe the sex drive is
pass
gone.
Right through.
Right. Like, no!
That would be total frustration.
That
right
would
there.
be.
Yeah.
So maybe that is being hell.
No.
So whenever we see a ghost, that's
how you
literal
get bad
hell.
ghosts. That's why bad ghosts.
Off of
I might just want to touch my dick once.
Spinning off of ghost stories to, like, horror flicks. I want to see a scene in a horror movie where somebody has a blow and go for their car because they got a DUI.
And they, oh my God, no shit. And
Yeah,
they're trying to get away.
They're getting chased by somebody, and they're get the keys in, and then they got to wait for a minute.
Yeah.
And then they got to.
Oh no!
That is it.
And then it takes a while for it to calibrate and register. By then, they're just fucking.
Be
dead.
so funny.
They totally could have got away, but because of their punishment for the blow and go, which, by the way, is one of the stupidest goddamn things. Anyway, yes, I was law enforcement. No, I didn't do DUIs. Yes, I think those are fucking stupid.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, they interrupt you driving. I mean, you can't talk on the cell phone, but you got this goddamn control that you got to blow like every 13 to 15 minutes as you're driving, and it
Really?
falls
I didn't know
down.
that.
There's a camera looking at it. Oh, that's not a goddamn distraction at all. And you got to do it right.
Start the car.
No, you do it start car 5 minutes after, and I think it's like every 13 to 15, 16
Or else
minutes.
what? It just stops your car?
Your car will stop and your horn will start going. Bah, bah.
Are you fucking kidding me? What a
Yeah.
That- of
or
course-
if you do it
I
wrong.
did not
Of course the
realize
government
that
does
was.
that.
I thought it was. I just thought it was. You have to do it to start your car initially, and then you're good.
Oh,
the
no,
horn
no, it
goes
keeps
off?
going.
What did they have like balloons come out? Like here's a clown
This
car.
guy got
Look at this
DUIs,
fucking
this guy got
guy.
DUIs.
This guy made a mistake here.
Everybody point and laugh.
Exactly. What a loser. That's
awful.
Of course, that's the government solving things. So, like, what we
Yeah.
should do is put a little red nose on him, so that everybody can say, God damn it.
Yeah,
Dunce
I mean,
cap. He wears the dunce cap.
good principle. I get it. I mean, again, let's cater to the small amount of people that we're talking to. You know, some severe absolute drunks who just can't function on a daily basis without alcohol, and they've got, 3 DUIs. Okay,
So you're
Yeah,
not allowed
maybe.
to drive then.
But-
like, let's just skip
You know,
that step. That
you
step
get
doesn't
somebody
need to be
with
a
a-
step.
Right, no
you get
shit.
somebody with like a physical control where they got in trouble for, because they were smart and pulled off on the side of the road and took a goddamn nap,
if you
and
were
some
on the
cop decided to fuck them for
Right.
it.
What
if you were on
now
the
they got one of
freeway?
those for 2 years, and now you just added more danger into their life.
Yeah, big time.
That's how I feel. That's
and took
Is that
away.
for-
How did I work
What
for the
if-
government
what if
for
you're
so
on the
long?
freeway?
I don't
can't get
understand.
past
What's that?
How did I work for the government for so
I
long?
don't know. I don't know.
understand. This is
We've only been
ridiculous.
friends for a few years, so
Some of the ridiculous shit. That
Serious question though. What if you're on the freeway like 5 minutes later and you don't do the blow thing?
just stops on
eventually
the
it will
freeway?
shut your car off.
Like
But,
on
like-
the freeway?
Yeah, and then it registers as then you get penalized for it. Then it costs you money. It's a whole fucked up system.
Yikes.
What?
I think we
So-
could probably do something.
Now
I'm shook. I'm shooketh.
I didn't know that. Yeah.
hold on a second. Now I'm trying to think. Maybe it doesn't shut the car off if it's moving, but
Somebody's listening,
you
they
do
just
get a
fire
but
it
you
up.
do get a violation if you don't blow within a certain amount of time.
Oh.
But then I think ultimately over a certain period of time it will shut off. Maybe it's not like you don't do it 15 minutes, your car just dies.
The thing that's interesting
that-
to me
that-
is
that's crazy
you have to
if
do it
that's
every
the way it
15
is.
minutes while you're driving. So that means that they're assuming that somebody sober gets in the car and then they just start pounding beers while they're drinking, and they're trying to stop that.
How
Or
do they know it's you? Why don't you have your buddy blow into it?
Because they have a
Yeah.
camera right there.
they have a camera too.
Yeah.
well, then why would you have to blow into anything again?
Yeah,
'Cause
no
you
more
could-
jerking
like,
off in
well,
the
he's-
sock when
looks
you're
like he's
driving down the
drinking.
road for that period of time.
I've only done that once. That was nice though. That was an interesting.
Did you
Oregon
use the
trip.
sock?
I don't
Did
remember.
that
what-
hurt?
I didn't. I don't know if I used the sock. I don't know if I used a sock.
I used an empty chip bag.
Yeah, that's
The
more
one
like
time I
some
did it.
shit
You
that I was thinking.
I had this
And I
conversation.
felt again
Dirty
It
as,
was the
like-
same as when I peed on the secret part of my carpet. I was like, I got done and I was like, why? What is wrong with you?
I got
It's
a
like scraping
conversation.
your
Yeah,
marijuana
so
pipe for the
disgusted
resin.
with
Like,
myself.
I got a conversation the other day. First, it started with, "What do you search on Pornhub?" Which obviously wasn't going to be answered, and somehow that got into, "What fruits would you fuck?" Of course. Then I brought up Dan and the banana thing, and they're like,
Banana
"No,
peel, yeah.
like no, a cantaloupe would be way better." Watermelon might not be that kind of heavy, and then it got into vegetables, and squash, of course, would be the best option.
What would you? A squash?
I thought
Yeah.
peach, but then the pit.
You got some,
Yeah,
yeah,
you got
that's
it.
gonna that's gonna poke you right in the right in the pecker hole.
Yeah, I don't think that's the one
Yeah.
for me either.
No.
I don't know. Watermelon, I'd try. It seems like it has an interesting
Are we
vibe.
really doing smash or pass on fruits right now?
I think we are.
Okay, let's explore this. Pineapple.
Pineapple is the one I was thinking that. No.
Yeah,
That's.
I mean, the outside.
that's a high level of
I mean, it'd be like a '70s bush, maybe.
high degree of difficulty. This shit's biting back. This JJ's got teeth.
that predates me.
All right. Well, instead of doing the fruit thing, I think we figured out the fruit we want to fuck,
Yeah.
and you guys can throw all the fruit at us. We won't fuck those. Just the fruit we want to fuck. But I'd say this is our show. This has been just a ride. This has been fun.
It has been a ride. I'll
Yeah.
give you
And
that.
so you
That
can
was
check
only
us-
about like 17 different directions. That's pretty good.
literally 17. I wrote them down.
if
and
it's
you're right.
under 20, it's a good day.
Yeah.
I think so.
That's,
But
that's par for the course.
it's been fun hanging out with you guys. I like doing this. Let's do this again.
We'll do
I
this.
said we were going to cancel it, but I think now that we've talked, maybe
You're better.
I'm better.
Okay.
I can live with my pee stories as long as it's not on my grave when I'm dead.
Well,
on
we're
my
glad you got
tombstone.
over it. We want to do this again.
This- it was
I
just
wanted
good
to cancel
therapy.
it until we got to the your pee story specifically.
Like, I ain't coming back, and then the piece.
When I realized how much collectively Shaiden and I can fuck with you, I'm like, oh yeah, this is good.
good times.
He's a lot fucking smarter than I am because he reads books.
No. All right, you guys. So you can probably at this point check out justaridepodcast.com, and you can find all the stuff there. There'll be our other episode up there. Probably some other bonus things that we don't know what they are right now, but you'll find them. And also check out info@SkatCast.com for writing to us for now, and we'll have an email set up soon for Just a Ride. But yeah, let us know your damn ghost stories. I want to hear.
Yes.
What's the
Send
creepiest
ghost
thing?
stories.
We're gonna rank the creepiest one of all time. We'll read that one on the show.
Fruit.
And which fruit you want to fuck?
Yeah.
Seriously, let's do that. Let's
Call to
rank-
action.
let's rank
We could
the
go straight to
creepiest
what's your
one.
Pornhub search, but
We're still.
I'm on the ghost stories.
I just want to see. I just want to see if there's
fruit.
something else I need to investigate that I haven't checked out yet.
All right. Well, I've been Zach.
I've been Shaiden.
And I'm Jeff.
We'll talk at you in the future. It'll seem like the present.
It will.
It's just a ride. Whoa, oh, it's just a ride.
Bing.
Bong.